Wildcard Red beatdown. Let's get right in towards nitty gritty, and really we got a chance to talk about this entire team to the coach yesterday. ADFX was very nice enough to kind of sit with us last night and talk about what they're expecting, what they're looking at going in towards this matchup. And he said, we don't play weak side, we play off every single lane, which I think is really interesting, especially when you have a lot of key components like Dokla and Arrow like this. So this should be fun to see exactly what they're going to now put together heading in towards this first draft for game one.
Yeah, using some of the experience they have, and of course all the working and coaching they've done with these players. Like you said, there is no weak side, strong side dynamic here. They pick the best matchups they can for their laners, and they basically play around great wave management. That's what it's all about for these guys. So that's why I'm very interested to see what their draft is going to look like going into today's series as well. And of course, some respect bans have to come through for the likes of APA in the mid lane.
That was something I think we were planning on bringing up. Will the Aurelian Soul actually manage to make its way through? Looks like, at least for the time being, that is going to be a hard no. But the Nocturne taken out of the picture here for us. Rumble and Gwen. Lee Sin still on the table. So it should be interesting to see if Resolve are willing to let that through, if they're going to maybe take this away with their last ban.
There's still a couple strong AP junglers left. Diana's still up. It's something Wildcard are definitely not shy about picking up either. We'll see what they want to highlight. Lee Sin is usually left up in first phase. It's usually just the kind of handshake. We'll just let you take it on B1 and we grab something in response as well here. So I don't quite see that being the ban there from Resolve, as we just kind of wait out what that third ban is going to be.
Yeah, that is really going to be the question, and looks like it is going to be the Lee Sin, so they do not want to have to deal with that. Have to imagine that's right. Hey, Castor Chris is already here. We're not going to get to see the Lee Sin game one, but good news. We got a best of 5 for ourselves beatdowns. We got lots of games to get through and see how it's going to play out. But now it's time for Wildcard Red to figure out, okay, what do we want to put priority on? Is it going to be a jungler, like the Udyrs, like this Diana that you've talked about that hasn't necessarily rose up for as far as high popularity, but is a strong champion that we have seen wielded quite well. But it is going to be that Udyr that Wildcard Red are going to settle on.
The thing with Diana is that she's very strong right now, but still very telegraphed. You give away too much about your composition picking it early. Instead, Udyr so safe, so good, as much as it pains me, and it just makes sense for Wildcard Red to give this to Winston, who's been playing it very well so far. And what I'm curious is, what are Resolve going to respond with? Now, you already know what jungle is. Are you going to try and secure yourself a really strong flex pick? Wow.
Okay.
So they're going to play the Hecarim. I'm pretty sure they played this in their quarterfinal matchup as well against EGP. But.
Yeah, this is a little bit interesting. I mean, I think Hecarim has certainly fallen off from where we saw it was just like Udyr Hecarim, throughout the very first split, right? That was the majority of the jungle for us. So a little bit interesting that it is being picked up after receiving some nerfs coming in towards, of course, this season. But they're going to try to run with it. It does have a lot of all-in, and, well, they're going to pair that with a Nautilus. So that's already a lot of CC and a lot of dive that they can look to utilize here for Resolve.
It's all about dive buddies when you pick up champs like the Hecarims. Of course, Nautilus right after makes so much sense. You're very comfortable blinding that support, and it still leaves a lot of questioning for Wildcard for what they're going to be able to pick up next here. Nautilus is starting to feel like probably the best support on the patch, honestly. He seems to be the answer into so many bottom lane matchups. He's so strong. He offers so much dive potential here. So will we see the support answer from Wildcard? Instead, they want to secure themselves a nice flex here in the Renekton.
All right, so Renekton being picked up might force now a top pick to come through for Resolve on their very last pick of this phase, but Wildcard Red still need to come through with at least one more, a chance to pick up an AD carry. I mean, this is actually an interesting position to be in for Wildcard Red, right? Because if you pick your AD here, you kind of put some pressure on Resolve for as far as, do we want to try to get something for that top lane matchup, or do we want to also put through an AD carry? So I actually really love what Wildcard Red has done with this draft here thus far, and they do lock in that Zarya.
Yeah, we don't see her a lot, but this is a really nice pick because as soon as you see Hecarim Nautilus, this is like we said, we already know what this is about. Absolutely. This is about diving. This is about being in there like swimwear. So you want to be able to try and avoid drowning if you are Arrow. So Xayah, a lot of self-peel in her kit makes so much sense. And now, if an AD carry is not picked on Resolve, we could see Wildcard Red start to pinch out that support pool, maybe take away the Kaisa, who would really fit into this composition.
Yeah, it definitely would. And the Volley Bear will be the very last pick here. Oh, actually, never mind. Sight.
Oh, baited?
Baiting. Maybe double hook champions. Not expecting that. We'll get that updated, of course, as we go through overall. As we take a look at the other side, it looks like maybe that was the thresh that was picked up there in towards the end and was not the Xayah. Either way, we'll figure out exactly what was kind of locked in here for us, but we look towards the bands that are coming up next, Beatdown, and this is when you have to start kind of questioning, all right, what are we looking to take out of the mix coming in towards the end here? Do we want to take some supports off the table now that you have the Nautilus for Resolve? There's a couple of different options, but so far that first one is going to be Akali.
Yeah, that is a pretty smart pick. Bradley, also really well versed on the champion. Really good just melee assassin player in general. So you do want to take that off the table for him as too. Now it's just going to be, it looks like pinching the mid lane pool is what Wildcard Red and both actually Resolve are looking for instead. Not too worried about 80 carries, especially if that is the Xayah locked in for Arrow, but we're going to find that out in just a moment here. I think Resolve, though, again, I'm wondering if we're going to leave this Kai'Sa up on the table. It feels like it's really a really nice fit into Resolve's composition. I feel like you just can't go wrong with this kind of dive composition.
Especially with the Nautilus. Like, I mean, we've just seen that combination be so deadly, right, throughout a lot of last year and a lot of this one as well. So Orianna will come on through for Wildcard Red. It's actually just a lot of solo lane bans that come on through, and I do like a lot of them. I mean, we were talking about Silas, for example. This champion is extremely obnoxious to really deal with, and sometimes finish off and kill just when you think you have him. A Kingslayer is on a 4-second cooldown, and he's back to half health. So it can be difficult, so they'll take that off the table here for us. And now it's Wildcard Red getting rid of that Kai'Sa, as you called it there, Beatdown. They do not want this in towards the composition that already has so much dive.
It's just a natural progression there, but Resolve, of course, probably expected this to take place. It's now going to see what they grab instead. There are still a lot of other 80 carry options that'll probably still work for them here, because you got to imagine they want to leave the mid lane up for APA. They want that counter pick. They want to know for sure whether or not this Renekton is going mid or top, because Renekton is quite strong in that mid lane.
Ezreal will come through, so a lot of peel. I'm looking at getting on top of something like an Ezreal right now, and yeah, you need either the Renekton to kind of pull off a perfect combination or an important death sentence that you can layer with CC if you're going to be able to get on them. So Resolve looking for a bit of dive as well as nice self-peel, and now it's the question of what are we going to get for Wildcard Red to try and respond to this Ezreal as well as all the dive that's come through.
Yeah, and then if that is a thresh we're seeing there on 3 for Wildcard Red, maybe grabbing the Xayah would be something that's really nice. And it's actually, okay, so that is a thresh. We are going to see the Aphelios come through, and Wildcard Red are just looking to really put the game in Arrow's hands here. Aphelios is that kind of champion where it's like, as time goes on, as you get to the late game, it's all about setting this champion up for success. And when you pair it up with something like Thresh, you have Renekton who can peel in team fights. Of course, the same could be said about Udyr. It really is all about Arrow in this composition.
It very much is. Arrow looking to try and do everything he can, but we'll have a lot of help from Bradley in the mid lane with that Victor coming through. So a lot of damage, and if we go late, I'm looking at, you know, something like an Aphelios as well as a Victor that is just going to be able to shred a lot of these members in towards the front line, even if they are stacking up, you know, some of this armor and MR. But you still need to come through with your very last pick if you're Resolve. What do you want to play into this Victor? And it looks like we're going to get a Seraphine for ourselves. Beatdown, a champion that we have not seen a lot of, but will be in towards our very first game.
Oh, and that's actually really nice here for Resolve, because one, you can contest mid priority very early on this champion, especially against Victor, who needs the upgraded Death Laser to really start to push these lanes, and it's so nice for Hecarim as well. You can set up these dives with that Encore. The healing and shielding is hasn't been touched very much as of late, so it's still quite strong too. You get a lot of sustain in these team fights, which is really important for what Resolve are trying to do in these compositions, especially when you are going for the hard engage, when you are trying to hard dive, and the only way out is to win.
Only way out is to win. Well, ladies and gentlemen, just about ready to jump in towards the game as we kick off our very first semifinal. Wildcard Red up against Resolve to see who can kick the series off first, and already in towards it. We have to start to lay down some ground for Resolve. We talked about Wildcard Red for us Beatdown, but Resolve didn't exactly have the best start towards the season here for us for the first tier 2 at Challenges Uprising. They had a little bit of a slow start, but now have started to actually pick up a lot of what was working out there for them in towards that last split, and things are just starting to connect as Array has come in towards this roster. So it should be interesting to see how Resolve are going to be able to come in towards this game 1 and see if they maybe give us a lot of that aggression that they love to bring out.
And interestingly as well, the last time we saw them on broadcast, Austin, we talked about Array as well having big shoes to fill when someone like Gorka leaves this team. Now, against someone like Arrow, former professional 80 carry player, well, this is the time to show that you're here to hang for someone young and talented like Array. So I'm really excited to see this matchup in particular in the bottom lane for that reason.
Also have to note that in the last series that we saw Resolve play, in the 4 games that they played, the first 3, they got the first 3 dragons. Have to imagine Wildcard Red have done a lot of that prep, so I'm curious to see how these dragons are going to play a bit of a factor, and if Resolve is going to be able to take them as swiftly as they did in that last series. We will see things scouted out on towards the blue buff as PCL just goes to take a little gander, wanders in, says, all right, we know where the Udyr is going to be starting here, as it will be leashless.
That's really nice information you give your team early on. And all you have to do is walk in, because not a good chance Winston's actually going to go on the chase. So you get that info. And to your point about Dragon Collection, that's going to be a really interesting one too, because I think early on, you don't really have that kind of a neutral objective threat, especially when you play something like the Hack Room.
Sure.
You need to get closer to that level 6. You need to get some of the itemization going at least a little bit here, so you can start to actually threaten, so you can actually start to make plays, and then convert those into neutral objective takes.
Well, PCL already trying to shake some hands with Doka up top, who's happily going to take that. He's going to be able to slip away, but in the end, PCL does actually out-trade him on this volley bear. Remember, pick this into the Renekton. So far, so good. We'll see APA already getting some early vision down. Just needs to play as safe as possible and really just be annoying as possible. I think that's the key when we're talking about Seraphine, especially not seeing it as of late. But those are really the keys to kind of stick by if you're going to find success.
Right, and again, allowing Fnatic to potentially try and fight for these Scuttle Crabs. Probably top side of the map, especially because he is pathed that way, and he should be able to get push mid and top, is really important here. Getting that early EXP, even if you just go crab for crab, is so important for someone like Hackram. Again, getting a level 6 as soon as possible is the big thing to look for here. And so far, nobody's trying to do a whole lot in this mid lane, but Bradley is already running a little low on the mana. We are going to have to see if he is forced out of lane. But now the thing I am setting my eyes on is the Scuttle fight here going in the top side, if there will even be one. Yeah,
it looks like it might just be a trade of crabs. And I think you're happy with that if you're the Hecarim, right? Making sure that you at least get one. Winston going to now do just a bit of scouting. Pops the orb, taking a look to see if there's any additional camps up, as you have to assume Fnatic is now on towards that bot side, trading the crab here with you. And, well, essentially the same thing happens here for Fnatic, too. Takes a little look in towards the jungle, not going to find a whole lot, and both junglers just going to do some early resets.
And you already see the pings come through. You know immediately that there is a bit of a concern when Hecarim's, or rather, Udyr's top camps aren't up, but Winston is just on the reset, pathing back topside. And because PCL has constantly had the push here on Dokla, he might be able to make a play on the top side here if you're Winston onto this volley bear. So far, PCL has been running this matchup, gets to walk back to the lane, holding on to the TP, and should he die here, that will be very valuable.
Well, Winston might just look for PCL. There's an angle to set it up. A lot of CC here between both of the members, but just a matter of how much respect is PCL going to show. And with the wave shoving into him and a lot of casters there in that top wave, he's simply just going to let it push into him. I don't need to force anything, but bot lane, we'll finally see a hook land. Daption is going to flex some muscles on towards Winter. There will be no response here from the Resolve bot lane as they're just looking to farm up with the Ezreal.
All right, it's all about being safe. Just trying to get your ranged poke for Array. Doesn't have to do anything too fancy early on. I think you're happy with that one. Both sides of this, honestly. Both these bot lanes very happy to just handshake, farm it up for a while. But I think it's worth noting, Arrow, decent CS lead has already built up for him here. We're looking at 11 CS so far. And I mean, at this rate, he's going to have quite the gold lead there for him because it's only 5 minutes, Austin. 10 can turn into a lot more.
It definitely can, and I was just about to bring that up as well, where we talk about someone like Arrow, who is probably, you know, one of the best players in this tournament based off his history, where he's been looking to get back up towards that level here within North America. And I mean, this is a reason on why it shows. Just in early CS lead, we're only 5.5 minutes in, and it might not seem like a pretty big factor, but hey, you have now 250 gold over your opponent. Of course, some of that will be diminished as the wave does shove in, but still, props over towards Arrow as a couple resets coming on towards the map. And I think this is interesting for us right now, BTL, because we know Resolve to be a pretty aggressive team, especially when we opened up that quarterfinal matchup in their last series, they were very aggressive in the first couple of games. But as the games got longer and longer, we went towards the 3 and 4, things started to slow down in the early game. And you can just see how much more respect Resolve is currently paying on towards the map here for us.
And I think that's a really good note to highlight on Resolve, because historically they are a very aggressive team. But the fact that when we talked to Lucian the first time going into the previous match we covered, in the first week or two, he even said how they want to show that they can play multiple styles here. They're not always going to go for these coin flip aggressive plays. You can see them just playing the map as best they can here. Even though Wildcard Red won't lose the dragon, like we already talked, or lose the dragon, we already talked about how that wasn't something we'd expect Resolve to get, but that's kind of the point. Not taking these risks, Oscar. You recognize, all right, we don't have an opening for the dragon. They're on it. It's fine. Keep farming. We know our windows to fight here, and I think that's really nice to see for Resolve after all this time.
Well, it is going to be Wildcard Red with leads, whether they're small or big, across every single lane. Dokla, though, he might want a piece of PCL. We'll be able to pop the dominance. PCL actually responds with a good amount of damage as the flash is forced out. Dokla able to come away with a summoner's advantage as he flexes his muscles on the top lane. That
is a very nice feeling. Nice play, holding on the TP, and he might not even have to use it. So already that's something you can take advantage of. Rank 1 ultimate on Volibear is a pretty long cooldown as well, so we could absolutely see a play come up in the top side here in the next couple of minutes. And what we're seeing right now is you and I.
I guess so. Hello, everyone.
I guess so. Hi.
Guess we got to pause. I hope everyone's hydrated at home right now. I mean, it is super hot right now in Canada.
Right here.
And which is interesting, B-Town, because we were talking about the fact that there was like a lot of Canadians like in the circuit, and a lot of them like really local to us in Toronto, which, you know, we were kind of surprised about overall. So so if you are in fact in Canada, make sure you're hydrated, make sure you're getting that water in you, because it is it's a pretty hot day here today with the humidity and everything, man. It's a lot.
Yeah, we're looking at pretty high number, getting close to, I think, 40 with humidity. For y'all down south, it's like almost 100. This is really not accurate math, but luckily the vamping is over. We're back in game, Austin.
Back in game, and 1,000 gold lead here for Wildcard Red, right? Nice little early advantages simply through CS, taking the dragon, securing scuttle crabs, maybe starting to come away with some camps as well, all adding up towards that total. But we still don't have anything kind of happening on the map, but there is a Rift Herald available. Next dragon not going to be up for about 3 minutes, so everyone's kind of happy playing the farming game. I feel like, especially Wildcard Red, though, we're talking about this Aphelios and this Victor. They come online with the more items that they get, so if they can just sit here and create some early advantages, I mean, this is exactly what you want for your team composition as we get later into the mid game.
Right now, we're seeing Fnatic has hit the level 6 mark. In fact, he's now level 7. Now there isn't an opening. Ultimates are online. Resolve could look to start making some plays, especially if this Rift Herald is something they want to get for themselves. Looking at Fnatic here with the sweeper. Might be looking for a play, but instead he might just be walking for that Herald. APA's already shoved the lane. PCL's got a decent wave stacking, and because of that ward, they're going to see him coming up.
They sure will. Dokla getting that flash is going to make things that much easier in case any dives do come through, and at the moment Dokla's just gotta play on an island, and he's doing his best to make sure he stays alive. Bradley might be looking for a trade, actually gets the flash there from APA. Was maybe worried about Winston coming in towards the mix, chaining some CC with a Chaos Storm would force him out of lane, so just gonna take the safe route there and will get himself out with a summoner.
Absolutely necessary from APA. Really nice foresight there from Bradley. Does make APA more vulnerable now in these next couple of minutes here. Now we have a potential 50-50 coming up here. If they stack up, this could be a big encore.
Oh, it absolutely could. We're going to see Winter go all in. Onslaught of Shadows in towards the back line. First blood is secured for Winter, but there could still be a trade back. We'll see what Dokla can do. We'll have to try and get out with his life. PCL chases him there, but can't exactly land the ultimate. So we'll get away with 1 kill for Resolve, and we'll see the Rift Herald go over.
Even though it goes over to Winter, it's still so good for Resolve because they all get some of that gold, some of that XP, and crucially, the Rift Herald. So now they can start to pull the gold back into their favor, especially if they can manage to get a dive, get a nice set of kills. You could potentially just take a whole turret at this point. I know all the turrets are up, but depending on the situation, it's absolutely a possibility. And just like that, Resolve will just push themselves into the lead. And because of that play, or because of that possibility, Dragon is on the menu for them this time. They don't have to give this one up over to Wildcard Red. They can actually look to contest for it.
I'd love to see them get in position, see if they can maybe move in towards the river and set this up. Meanwhile, Daption Gonna make a roam towards mid, able to actually leash off some of that XP. So now has the box and the level 6 for himself for this dragon fight. Winter still does not have his ultimate, so that is a key cooldown that you won't have available. But it looks like they might be looking to make a play. I was going to say maybe you could collapse here on towards Daption, but a reset needs to come through for Fnatic, and 10 seconds away from this Air Dragon coming up. No team looking to take it immediately, but now we'll finally see Winston move in here with his mid laner.
Well, if we look at vision right now, Wildcard Red are absolutely in control here. They got a nice set of deep vision going through here. They managed to miss this ward just outside of the pit, but because bot is shoving in right now, Arrow and Daption can just move right up to help them secure it. That's probably going to be the second dragon for Wildcard. And now, interestingly enough, too, we have quite the strong soul potentially ahead of us here. It's going to either be Infernal or Mountain. Both quite nice here for both of these teams, and it will be the Infernal Soul.
It will be stacking dragons. Wildcard Red. Resolve just not wanting to take those early risks. I mean, they also need some scaling here for the Ezreal to hit a couple items. We know what happens when Seraphine gets on a couple. It can be pretty difficult to finish off kills, to say the least. Either way, a lot of plates coming through, and you have to keep hitting on just what has happened through this bot lane. I mean, you're seeing Arrow build himself up. Not only that CS lead that we keep hitting on here, that's now up towards 20, but actually has come away with quite a few plates. 3 of them, in fact, on towards that bot lane tower, and that's now led to about 800 gold in his favor, just purely off of laning and no kills. So it's a pretty important factor, as Winter might be scouted out. The death sentence will be dodged away, and Winter will be a-okay.
Yeah, really crucial. It could have been quite bad here, but the one thing worth noting too, I think Array, since he's going to be building that Divine Sunder, I think that's a huge spike here, actually, for a lot of members of Resolve, because I'm pretty sure Fnatic is going to build the same thing. In fact, he already has. PCL's looking for it, but he's also looking for a play.
No flash, the CC. Oh, it's disgusting. Wow. I mean, I don't think Bradley even got to touch his keyboard there. He wasn't allowed to move. Beat down, and that's another pickup here for Resolve.
Oh, it's a fate we've all experienced in one way or another, and I like this rotation too from the bottom lane of Wildcard Red. They know immediately that the Herald could be a potential threat, so they are going to move up to clear the wave, make it so that play can't actually happen here. And I like that foresight, even though Resolve weren't actually going to go for that play here. So you got to imagine Bradley might TP to the bottom side of the map just to catch this wave that's forming here, but now because it's open, we have the Rift Herald.
I like this. Bradley, though, will come through with the TP to make sure that they don't finish off the tower entirely. So it'll be the plates, and those plates actually only go over towards Fnatic. You can just see the respect from Array. Does not want to step up just in case. They are on a ward, though, so it could be interesting to see if they try to move in, look for something. Meanwhile, APA is trying to stop Winston from taking the red buff. However, I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah, he's just going to get some poke down. Winston with the smite will be able to get the red buff, and now he might even try his hand at the Raptors, too.
Yeah, look at this. Winston has more health than when this engage first started, and it's just not happening here. Oh, wait, a bite?
Stormbringer, Dokla able to dodge out on some of the damage. The flash comes through. Will Dokla have enough to get himself out? Winston right behind him. PCL is all in for this kill, but I don't think it's going to happen. Dokla able to flash the moves, just goes right through, and that will be a nice cleanup here as Wildcard Red find their first kill.
So rough for PCL. You know, Winston is in the area too. You think maybe I can take him down in the 1v1, but unfortunately it was not so. Winston did not respect the honor of the duel. Of course, he's just going to help his top laner up there. So now, not a whole lot to fight for, but Wildcard Red are responding and making plays of their own here. Now, they still managed to hold on to the CS lead, and because of that early rotation, Arrow got to get some extra farm in the mid lane that Array did not, and now this lead is starting to grow even more, Austin. We're looking at 1,100 gold. Kraken Slayer is completed. It's a very strong boy right now. One more item, and Arrow is going to be able to do some very serious damage here to the members of Wildcard Red. But you know what? We haven't seen a team fight break out just yet, but you know what's coming up, Austin?
Next
dragon. Exactly. I don't even have to say anything, you know.
I feel like we're going to get a scrap for that one for sure. I can't imagine Resolve are going to give 3 dragons over for free. We took a look at that gold there for a quick moment. And Arrow, I just got to keep re-hitting this because he has no kills nor assists. He is in the lead. 6,000. Next one is APA, who's also been farming up quite well and has a kill. But top lane, Resolve looking to force a play maybe a minute before this dragon. Dokla is not going to be too worried about it, as he's just going to be able to kind of slip away and he'll be fine.
Oh, I'm surprised they don't go for that play. A lot of Utility was up, Onslaught of Shadows was available, Ghost, but they just opt for the safety. They don't want to take any risks with Dragon up in a minute. They want to stay on the map,
yes.
And you can see Fnatic is immediately moving down to the bottom side just to make sure Winter can secure that vision. Because Resolve, they need this Dragon. You can't let the third trade go to Wildcard already, who have been taking advantage after advantage all game long.
Well, the good news is that you do have the early setup. Look at the pinks, just beautifully done here.
Love
you got
it.
one in towards that line brush right around the top side there in the mid lane, and then you got three just basically in this triangle right down in towards the bot lane. And while this happens, Winston's like, all right, you guys need to set up for this Dragon. You need this Drake more than we need it at the moment. So that means I'm going to be able to come up top, grab myself a free Rift Herald, and then still have time to actually rotate down if Wildcard Red are looking to contest it.
Some vision is being contested. Rift Herald's taken, but Winston is walking to the mid lane. We could see him drop it after this wave gets cleared and force Resolve to either let it go through and potentially take the turret, or answer it and lose control over the Dragon Pit area. It's looking like they want to fight this Rift Herald. They want to make sure this mid tier 1 stays up because it's really important here for Resolve. So they are going to wait until Shelly charges, till they can confirm it's down and walk down to the pit. But look what happened, Austin. They lost their positioning, and now it's Wildcard Red who are here.
Dredge line not going to find its mark as the Scuttlecrab is secured. Looking for another re-engage. Winter trying to walk up. Will eat a bear slap as Winston's just dancing, trying to bob and weave around a hook that could come through. They look for Dokla. Dokla dashes away. So the Dragon dance continues as we're waiting for a hook to land. And it's really on Winter to get it going, but that's a nice true shot barrage as it does tag up some players in towards the back line. However, no one starting this Dragon up as of just yet. Beats down. Everyone just eyeing each other up.
Yeah, and then the big thing, too, is because, you know, Dokla is looking for the flank. Here we go.
All right in towards the mix. It will be Winter who tries to set up the fight, and Daption has already been taken low, but he won't go down as of just yet. Dokla, what can he do in the backline? At the moment, it looks like not a whole lot. Forced to retreat to his team. APA can't find the CC, and now is low on mana, but a re-engage for Winter is there. Has to flash out as the damage returns here for the side of Wildcard Red. Every single member still alive, but a lot of summoners have been blown.
This is tough. They could still potentially re-engage here. A lot of health on Arrow, enough health on Winston. Do they go for this 50-50? They get the vision as well, just to remind them that they're there, but here we go.
TP coming in from behind from Dokla. Doesn't have the dominance, but the Dragon has already been secured. Wildcard Red, can they find anything on the back half of this fight? Dokla can't find the angle to engage. Winston can't get in there either. And after all of the eyeing up for his beatdown, nobody will die over the course of that minute, but the Dragon in the end does go the way of Resolve.
I think that's the most absurd thing about that fight, that nobody ended up going down here, but this is good. Resolve committed a lot, almost lost a lot in the process, but they do hold on to the Dragon here. And you can see it, Dokla, he is doing so good, threatening the backline. As soon as Winter and PCL look the other way, he's going to jump on the likes of Array and APA. So that's what made this so hard for Resolve to commit to. And now, because Winter gets hooked and they go through here, they finally get the opportunity. So much AoE damage coming through. It starts off looking so good, but the problem ends up being you're getting a little low on mana. APA can't keep spamming the spells. Winter is getting really low as well, and Resolve opt to stay around. Even though they almost get Winter, they couldn't really focus on getting the Dragon, and in hindsight, looking at these HP bars, I think he just let this one go.
Especially with the Seraphine slowly but surely getting healed up, right? With now the Moonstone completed, Purifier as well. 2 items looking solid for APA, but just 3 kills coming through in 20 minutes. I was maybe expecting 3 kills in the first 5 minutes, but very calculated, very controlled for us throughout this entire game. And now a chance for Resolve to actually start stacking up some of these Infernos, because we talked about the Victor and the Aphelios, sure, being able to scale, but I mean, Seraphine's going to be able to scale as well for us beatdown. And if she can continue to play long fights like that, where she just has the chance to constantly heal her teammates up, it's going to be really difficult for Wildcard Red to actually come away with kills and initiate in towards the rest of the fight.
And that's the thing that's going to make someone like Fnatic impossible to deal with here on this Hecarim. Can heal off the W, is also going to heal off the procs of Divine Sunderer. There's a lot going for Resolve in these extended fights here, especially with the poke you can offer from Array. So you got to be really careful about letting them stack Infernal Dragons. A lot of damage could come out from this team here, but it's just one Drake. So we'll see if Wildcard let any more go through here. Now, though, might have a skirmish coming through in the mid lane, as again, Wildcard Red, they want to get this mid-tier 1 down, but the commitment from Resolve may not let that happen.
All right, Dokla goes in. Winter does not have the flash. The Encore does actually find a couple. Dokla has to get himself out. The Ignite's ticking down, and it's a Ray that finishes off the kill, but PCL goes underneath the tower and jumps on top of Arrow to bring home a double kill. 3 members up for Wildcard Red, but they can't defend the mid lane tower.
And it's just so easy for Resolve to go for these dives here. Amazing diving tools and some of the ultimates. They get 2 members, Austin, and we got a 21-minute Baron as a result. You got the mid-tier 1 turret, too. All you can do is just hope to trade, it looks like, for the side of Wildcard Red. They're going to take the turret, but can they run interference on this Baron? I think they've realized they cannot.
They're going to make the smarter call. Just give it up. Yeah. Go and take away some of the camps in towards the jungle, just anything you can. But in the end, Resolve, I am just very impressed with how patient they've played Beatdown, because we got a chance, to talk to a lot of coaches and, even to Lucian about this squad. And we already talked about the fact that, hey, listen, they can play a couple of different play styles, but we've only really seen one. It feels like the majority of the regular split as well as in towards the playoffs. But this time around in the game number 1, they are just taking a lot of calculated risks. They're only forcing things that they have to. And overall, it just feels like they have so much presence on the map at the moment.
And those calculated risks have added up to a small but respectable gold lead they've gotten for themselves so far. And really nice from Array to cancel that back. And because of this gold lead and this Baron buff, they're going to get more gold in their pockets as well. They can start to threaten these side lanes of PCL. Now that Divine Sunder is built in the 1v1, most of the champions that can side lane well are AD. The fact that he has the steel caps is so big too. It's going to be hard for anybody to actually 1v1 him. That's why Dokla, he just backs right off. He doesn't want any of that smoke because he can't handle it.
He can't handle it.
No.
And now the towers that are just up and available in the side lanes are going to start to fall, but we will get a trade in towards the top lane there as well, the side of Wildcard Red. But this mid lane tower, Bradley, he cannot stand here and clear this wave, so that will be another one collected. 3-3 for as far as the towers. Resolve still in charge of the game as they have over a 1,000 gold lead, but hanging on is Wildcard Red. They're not too far behind. And now that next dragon is about to spawn here for us, Beatdown, 15 seconds away, and look at the vision control. It's going to be really hard to walk through this jungle.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the 3-3 in turrets. Like, Wildcard Red have been trading very effectively this game. That's why it's been so very close here. At this point, though, Resolve, they're looking for a hook. Nobody is going... It doesn't seem like anyone's going to go for that wave in the top side. They're just going to let that one go because this dragon is too important, Austin. Being able to get the second Infernal Soul while you still have Baron up means Wildcard Red might not go for it, but it looks like they want to try.
Winston does not have flash, and that means he can't get in the pit. Just going to be taken away. Wildcard Red going to concede another objective. So now the Infernal stacking starting to start for Resolve as they've now collected 2 and even up the odds.
This is starting to look really good. And we're seeing Resolve when their composition is on line. The fact that the Baron was able to allow them to push these waves so deep definitely contributed. But when you have to walk into Fog against Resolve's composition, well, the short version is don't do that, Austin. So that's why Wildcard Red are opting not to do so. But now you can't let Resolve Dragon stack even further. 4 Infernal Dragons and a Soul. I don't want to think about that. I'm just going to think about happy thoughts. Hey, PCL, farming really well in the top lane. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a lead, right, over Dokla.
Yeah,
after receiving a lot of the early pressure and getting a couple of ganks out of Winston there and towards the top lane. But for now, it's just about deathballing for Resolve. Make sure you're playing in and around EPA. Array, who's going to be so difficult to deal with and find and kill, is going to be just absolutely fine. Bradley, though, might be looking to turn his attention towards the top lane here so we can start to set up some side lane pressure.
Worth noting, though, Arrow has finished the Runons, so this is a really big spike for Aphelios as well here. Wildcard Red, they're going to get one of the best fights they could possibly hope for pretty soon, which I imagine is going to be around the Drake that's coming up soon, or maybe the Baron that's coming up in 2 minutes as well. You can already see Resolve have their sights set on that because they're so focused on controlling the top side of the map here. You can see all the wards coming through, all this deep vision that Wildcard have to spend a lot of their time clearing just so they can try and approach this Scuttle Crab.
Well, Winter will start it up. Bradley's going to get a lot of support to make sure there was no dives coming through and immediately take it away. The Crab is secure to get that additional vision in and around the Baron. Meanwhile, PCL on the bot lane does have his teleport up. It is important to mention, since that last Dragon fight that took place there for us, with no kills going through, now TPs are available for Bradley and Zokla as well. So everyone having just about summoners up on towards the map. It's just going to be back to farming, playing calculated, not looking to force anything. They're scaling, they're waiting, they're slowly getting themselves in control of this game, and you're starting to see a lot of those items come through for now for us to beat down. Even a Magi is actually picked up for APA because he knows he's going to be so difficult to kill. So if he gets some stacks, I mean, it's going to make it that much more oppressive for as far as the poke and the healing too.
It's really big too for them and APA specifically here. You can see the farm just coming through here. You got to give props to Bradley, who's just been farming so well all game. Has the most CS so far and is only slightly behind despite dying twice. So Wildcard Red, again, still really strong going into these next this next skirmish that we're probably going to see very soon. The fact is that blue ward is going to reveal a potential Death Brush play, which is really smart from Resolve because that's the best Wildcard can hope for right now. You want to catch somebody lacking. You want to catch somebody walking where they shouldn't be. Just tell them they came to the wrong neighborhood.
Well, I like that Wildcard Red are actually in towards the jungle first. They are going to get some of this early vision down as Arrow trying to land some poke on towards the top lane tower, or rather bot lane tower, excuse me, as this might actually end up going down. There's no one here to support PCL, so he's just gonna sit back, make sure there's gonna be no engages, and they do come away with it. So tower lead over towards Wildcard Red, doing a good job working off the side lanes.
Yeah, really smart. They know Fnatic is on the other end of the map. They have so much vision that's revealing the rest of Resolve, so it's really easy for them to be able to do so. They trade yet again. And because the Baron is coming up so very soon, that's why Resolve have all their focus on this top side. But good on Wildcard to be able to punish that in some way at least to keep this competitive. Again, only up 1,000. You can see it there on the scoreboards. It's split amongst many different people. So these teams are basically neck and neck right now.
Winston is actually chasing him down as far as he can go. Fnatic is looking for a reset, but they know he needs the reset, so they're going to start up the Baron. Very bold call for Wildcard Red, and Winston is going to be maybe seen right here with Daption, so you might not assume they're on it yet. However, Winter, he's sniffing something out. Something doesn't feel right, and there is the True Shot barrage. They get the check, and they're going to keep Wildcard Red off that Baron.
I think that's really nice too, because now you have the Dragon coming up in 30 seconds here, and it's something that both of these teams are going to have to consider. Winston, though, might be looking for a play. Maybe he's just looking to be annoying, it looks like. Just clearing whatever vision they can. But at this point, you got to start thinking about looking at the bottom side of the map. This third Drake would be great for 8 or 1, and Winter gets a hook.
Oh, he gets a hook, but the Lantern is going to get Winston right back out.
Fresh, baby.
Over towards the mid lane now, as we have not seen a whole lot of fights. But this very well could be the big one. Both teams tied at 2 dragons apiece, but Resolve, they've been stacking the Infernals up. Dokla going to be able to grab the honey fruit, heal himself back up, and they absolutely could. Going to be able to land a lot of that damage. Winter tries to go in, and well, the Dragon is secure for Wildcard Red, but what can Resolve get on the back end of it? Dokla in the fight. PCL trying to zone him away, as it might just be the Croc down, but the Lantern gets Dokla to safety. Here comes the onslaught of shadows and pulls Bradley in, the mid laner, out of the fight. Daption on the run, taken low, about half HP, forced to flash. PCL, does he have another angle? Back in, uses the Stormbringer, right in towards all 4 members for Wildcard Red, but can't lock down a target just yet. Fnatic goes back through with the charge. They will find the support, and Resolve, they are just diving, they are hunting, but they won't find anything else, as it's a 2 for 0.
Insane fight from Resolve, an insane ultimate from APA just to set up Fnatic's onslaught of shadows. It's so nice. They keep chasing these kills. They get one more onto Daption, and you can see it in this replay. Luckily for Wildcard, they do get themselves the Dragon Soul point, but you can see the fight here because of the distance between Arrow and the rest of the squad. He cannot auto, and now because of that huge charm, it's so easy for Fnatic to come in, and at this point it's just Kite City. You're trying to walk away, trying to do whatever autos you can here, but Resolve, they're committing flashes, they're committing ultimates. They want to secure the rest of these kills here, and despite their best efforts, they also lose Daption.
All they do is just hunting and chasing them down. The Seraphine just giving the speed ups with the W as often as you can imagine. But in the end, the Dragon still goes over to Wildcard Red. They lose a couple of players for it. And we take a look at that gold lead. And it's about 2,000 in favor of Resolve, as we'll see Wildcard move back towards this mid lane, try and fight over the priority. And now we take a look at the total gold, and that's actually changed up here for us. Remember, it was Arrow who was leading the charge. He's still at the top, but it's now a couple of Resolve members, as PCL is caught out on the side lane, does not have the flash, does not have the ultimate, but can he buy time for his team?
Alive.
Still actually soaking up damage. Okay. Finally, it's Daption there to bring home the kill, and that will be a successful pick here for Wildcard.
And again, a nice play, because you know Fnatic's on the other side of the map. You know this Horsey's not that fast, so you can make this play onto PCL no matter how tanky and difficult he may be. But now someone is going to have to answer that top wave. And the thing I want to talk about too is in that last fight, because of how much Resolve committed, because of how long it took, being on the other end of the map, Baron was not an option for them. I think that's why this play ends up being either even or maybe in favor of Wildcard, because they're at that Infernal Soul point. Now they're going to start the Baron. They need to look to turn and burn. Daption is in trouble.
Daption's already taken very low, as we'll see Fnatic go all in. The shutdown is there. They have actually taken down a Ray. Dokla for the double. Wildcard Red, they've been waiting for this moment, but can they find anything else? Looks like the answer will be no, but that is a massive fight, and now they can turn for the Baron.
You got crucial ultimates no longer available. You can absolutely make the play here for the Baron and turn if you want to. No ultimate on APA, no ultimate on Fnatic means it is fine, but because of that ward they're sitting in, Resolve know that they aren't actually playing for it. But now that Dokla's here, I think they're comfortable to start this one off here. PCL is TP as well. It's a deep one.
Oh, he's coming in from behind.
He has ulti.
What can they do? Fnatic has the smite. 6,000 HP as it's a 3 versus 5. They're trying to soak up the damage, and now here comes the turn. That's going to be another one picked up for Bradley. Fnatic is just left all alone. The jungler is down, and Wildcard Red, they are simply farming kills in and around the Baron as they turn their attention back on it.
And that's a beautiful fight coming out from Wildcard Red. It's going to secure them the Baron. It forces PCL to ult and get no value out of it. And now they got a nice injection of gold in their pockets, and they're looking for a little bit more.
Winter is trying to back up PCL, and Array's also here. There's a lot of low health bars, but PCL's not going to last too long, and Bradley will find the kill. And, well, then Winston might just start running down Winter. The dredge line does manage to get him in towards the red quadrant, and that means that no one else will chase, no one will follow. And a game that was in control for Resolve has now swung the way of Wildcard Red as they have the Baron and they have the gold lead.
Almost off the back of a beautiful team fight coming out from Wildcard Red. They secure the Baron. Now they can get control over the pit where the last Infernal Dragon is going to spawn here. Potentially, Wildcard Red secure this. They secure the soul. They could potentially secure the game, and because of those empowered recalls, they're already back onto the map and starting to set up that same vision. Bradley doing his best to secure mid-prio as well. At this point, Austin, they're so strong. Wildcard will look for a fight if somebody is out of position here, because PCL is not available. He only just spawned, and he doesn't have teleport up here. So Resolve have to be careful about how they approach here in the mid lane, because they might get collapsed on.
The key really is Array. If Array is not alive, then that damage output just goes down drastically. Last time they found him, are they going to be able to get in here in time? No, they don't. There is the soul point, and now they want to take the fight. Of course, if you look at the damage, the onslaught of shadows from Fnatic to try and peel APA, but PCL, he has to run away, and Bradley gets help there from Arrow as they find another one. Fnatic left all alone will be yet another kill over to Wildcard Red. Winter gets out with his life, but APA certainly will not.
Oh, and this could be the end here. Baron buffs, almost a minute on the spawn timer, and even though Winter gets out, it doesn't matter, Austin. Wildcard Red and Resolve both played a very careful farming game for a long time, but the calculated risks for Resolve just don't work out. Wildcard will take game one as Winter tries to cut them midway.
So much patience from this entire roster. Winter tries to do what he can, but it doesn't matter. Look at that angle. I love that right there towards the Nexus. But boy, oh boy, was that just an interesting game there for us, B-Town, because I feel like it comes back to not what we were expecting. Just a very slow start for both the teams, but as we got later and later in towards that game, you could just start to see how Wildcard Red picked their fights, found the carry just about every single time, and started fighting on their own terms.
And that's the thing, you gotta really give prompts to Dokla for that exact reason. Once this Renekton gets the 2-3 items, he's so very difficult to kill, and he has more than enough power, even going tank, to absolutely obliterate an Ezreal if he's caught in the wrong place. And that's what happened to Array a couple of times in those later team fights in and around the Baron, and the third Drake fight for Wildcard Red. And because of that catch out, it's like you said during the cast, Austin, Array is out, there's no fight to be had. Main source of damage gone, sorry, fight's over.
Fight's over. Difficult to recover, and I mean, they were able to do it as we got later and later. But overall, ladies and gentlemen, that was just the first game of this best of 5. Remember, whoever takes this moves on towards grand finals for our first tier 2 here in Challengers Uprising. But now we're going to throw things to a short break. Don't go too far. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome back, everybody, to All Chat. What a game one we just had. This is just the start of the night, folks. We could have 4 more games just like that between Wildcard Red and Resolve. Wildcard Red ultimately able to swing it in the late game, but it was pretty close, Smacks.
It absolutely was, and it had to take a huge comeback from Wildcard Red to get back into that game because it did not start out with them in the lead at all. They were down about 6-1 at a certain point with that third dragon fight coming in and then the fourth one after that as well. It really did feel like it was Resolve's game to take, but a couple of picks in the late game really turned it around for Wildcard.
And it was surprising, Dylan, that it was this close in general. You know, we talked a little bit about how reserved Resolve had been playing compared to what we'd seen from them before.
Yeah, you know, it feels like Resolve is a team that they like getting scrappy. They like taking these fights. In this game, like you were saying, Smacks, it felt like they were just taking things slow, calm, and collected, which is exactly what their team composition wanted to do. And it felt like they had the game in the bag, and then they threw everything out the window, and they kind of flustered when they were contesting that Baron attempt, and all their hard work for 30 minutes of the game basically was just wasted.
So close though. And they had a very interesting secret ingredient in that composition, Smacks. You were talking to us about how much you loved the APA Seraphine pick.
Okay, so let's talk about this Seraphine build because we just got to see some really interesting and really new tech in the making from that first game here in the semifinals. You can see it at the bottom of your screen. This was APA's fully completed build at 26 minutes into the game as the mid laner. I want to say that again. This is the mid lane build. This is not a support build. He built the Relic Shield after completing his first 3 items in the boots. And with the way that the new Wardstone functions, as long as you are level 13 and you have your support quest completed, you can buy the new Wardstone and you can have it work in your inventory. And Wardstone, they've recently revamped the item. It now amplifies all of your stats by a percentage of 12. It gives you a higher ward cap count, so you can have 4 stealth wards out, and you can also have 2 control wards out on the map, and it also lets you hold multiple more control wards as well. So with this very support heavy build, and with an enchanter champion in the mid lane for APA, not only was he able to mitigate the victor in the lane and keep a lead there, he also was able to provide utility for the scaling Hecarim in the skirmishes, and then late game, you're a secondary support for your team, throwing those Encore ultimates into the backline and making sure you have a lot of vision down when you go for this build as well. I think it's very creative, and I also think that it's probably not intended for Riot to have this in the game. It's probably going to get fixed soon, but it is very cool that APA is showing us this creativity on the Seraphine mid.
Oh, did we lose Smacks or did we lose me? Either way. Hello, can you guys hear me right now? Ooh. Well, something's going on.
I can hear you guys now.
There we go. Okay, I think we're good now. I think live production, folks. You know how it is. We've all had a year of online frauds. You know how things just happen. Sometimes TeamSpeak has a hiccup, but it's fine. It's fine. And unfortunately, it's not so fine, though, for Resolve. They had a very competitive first game, but at the end of the day, like you said, Dylan, a couple of fumbles cost them, and I think we need to take a quick pit stop and fix some of the wheels, get those tires changed out on Resolve. What needs to be a little bit upgraded going into Game 2 if Resolve want to close it out, Dylan?
Yeah, I think Smacks is going to have a pretty similar take to me, but there's not much to say. I mean, they played a very good game of League of Legends for the majority of this game. My pit stop, my quick fix is basically just handle these late game situations better. It felt like they were not prepared to respond to that Baron attempt, and they flustered and they fell flat. It felt like up until this point they were playing very well, and then at this point just people went in one by one. They took a very poor fight, Array got caught, and things went down.
We're watching the aftermath. This is the second Baron fight that happened. The
Yeah.
previous one was the one where Daption found a miracle hook onto the Ezreal, onto Array, and it did not give him any time to Arcane Shift on out or use the flash or anything of that sort. And This is the first time that it happened to Array. The second time is later on as well, where it's around the Drake Soul play. Dokla has found a really nice flank over the wall, and he just dashes over the wall, stuns up Array, and eats him alive, as Paulsable said while we were watching it. He's like, man, he just had Ezreal for breakfast. Here, we get to watch it right now. Oh, man. Insta-kill.
That's how a crocodile hunts, right? It just waits in the water and then snaps at you, dude. Dokla. Yeah. Crazy play right there.
Yeah, so my pit stop, it's a little bit targeted and it's a little bit mean, and I'm sorry to Array, but I think this game is super perfect for Resolve up until those points where he gets picked off as the Ezreal, and I think he would probably agree with me. So I don't feel too bad about it, but Array on this Ezreal, he's playing this very safe marksman. He's playing this character who can deal a tremendous amount of damage from a long distance away. He can't be the one face checking. He can't be the one isolated when there are lapses in vision, especially when they have the extra support item. You'd think that they have all this vision down, so it's not completely his fault either. But when your main source of DPS on this Ezreal is getting picked off like that, the fights become tremendously difficult from there. So I would love to see Resolve set up for those plays a little bit sooner with all of their wards so that Array is more safe and he doesn't get picked off by these little glimpses of vision that they're missing.
Well, and, you know, Smacks, as much as you loved the Seraphine mid pick, that is one of the downsides, right? You only really have Ezreal as that damage threat, so maybe despite how much vision you get from that mid laner Seraphine, maybe we want to see APA on something more aggressive, Dylan?
Yeah, it feels like APA, at his core is a pretty aggressive, snowbally mid laner. He's known for Aurelion Soul, among other things, and Seraphine definitely fits this composition well, right? You have the poke from the Ezreal. You want to be able to help Hecarim dive in. You can do that with the Encore and just supporting him and buffing him up with, Moonstone and things like that. But I feel like that doesn't fit APA's strengths as a player. Sure. When I think of APA, I want him to be on something that can influence the map, something that can really, stamp his foot in this game. And I feel like Resolve has to start taking it to Wildcard in the early game, because we just saw that, in a late game situation, Arrow is going to be, the superior AD carry in most positions, right? Sure, obviously, if Array doesn't get picked off, it's really different, but it felt like, Arrow was just more comfortable in that late game scenario. So I'd like to see APA and the rest of his team maybe start to shift more of their focus towards the...
Yeah, I mean, well, Arrow was comfortable in the lane too. Did you see him down there with Adaption? True. They got all 5 plates uncontested. It was a 5-for-0 sweep down there. He was up over 1,000 gold in lane. So Arrow definitely looked to impress in that first game. He's a big reason why they did end up winning. Although, I do disagree. I do think that APA, if he was to play Seraphine for the rest of this series, I think they would have a lot more success. And I think if you ran that exact draft back again 3 games in a row, I think Resolve would probably win the series, honestly. I think it's just really small mistakes that ended up happening. I'm pretty confident in that. By the way, I did predict Resolve to win this 3-1, so I'm not just talking nonsense right now. I'm sticking by that one right now, and I do still think that is in APA's wheelhouse.
Well, and they have a chance to run it back here, Smacks, because game 2, we're staying on the same sides. It is still going to be Resolve on the red side and Wildcard red on the blue side, which I just realized how annoying and confusing that is.
Some purple there, yeah.
Are there any changes we do want to see in the draft then? Like, maybe not, maybe, keep the Seraphine, keep the bot lane, changes in the jungle maybe, the Hecarim, possibly, Smacks? How do we feel about the top side of the map, honestly, for Resolve?
The top side doesn't concern me too much. I'd say I was really surprised that Wildcard didn't prioritize banning away the Ezreal. If the games play out exactly like that, then maybe they don't have to. But that one, to me, seemed a little bit peculiar. But yeah, like I said, if it plays out exactly like that, then, I mean, we could see the same draft for all I care.
Smax is ready to run it back. Dylan, do you have that same kind of confidence?
Oh, man. I mean, I liked Wildcard's draft. I like Resolve's draft. I think they both have strengths, but I don't know.
Oh, well, only one way to find out if they truly go for the salty run back, and that's to get into game 2. So let's throw it back over to Visions and beat down Boulevard. Boys, take it away. Oh, we're going to break. Oops.
Tell me where do I go? Tell me where do I take us? Your heart is starting to slow. May the water be safe. As I dive in, bloodstains washing underneath the waves. I'll be reaching out to give you hope. As we fall, I can't hold on much longer. We're drifting down to the other side. Try to pull us under. Keep holding out for the other side.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Challengers Uprising as we continue our first semifinal with Resolve and Wildcard Red. It's myself, Visions, joined with Beatdown. We just had an interesting game number 1. Didn't exactly pick up as fast as we were maybe anticipating. Either way, we got ourselves a couple of banger fights at the end, Beatdown, and now we'll see what changes up for game 2.
And the thing is, I really want to echo the sentiment that we saw from the desk, especially towards the end. Realistically, you could run back that exact same game because I feel like Resolve, I agree, Resolve played so well up into the last 2 crucial team fights, one around the Baron, one around the Dragon Soul fight, and everything besides from that point, like if you had asked me, I would have thought Resolve was going to win the game just simply because I like their composition a little bit better. So I think going into game 2, really, it's just an execution thing. But of course, we still got to give props to Wildcard Red. They seized those very few minute openings and they turned that into a win.
Yeah, I really do love the adaptation. Going through a match, realizing like, all right, we're not winning team fights, guys. So what do we need to start doing? Well, let's start looking towards the side lanes. And that's when they started to find a lot of towers. And we're actually ahead of Resolve for as far as those towers, at least in towards that mid game. So that was actually really nicely done from them overall, finding advantages. Arrow, of course, building things up. And I think the key to really hit here is we wanted to see how Daption and Bradley were going to play, you know, as the rookies on towards this roster. How are they going to perform? And with the likes of people like Dokla, Arrow, and Winston, I mean, they've certainly been able to help these guys, you know, build throughout this entire season. But overall, we wanted to see how they would perform. ADFX also talking to the coach last night. He wanted to see how they were going to do on the stage. And overall, it felt like they did pretty well. There was a couple of clutch hooks there from Daption as hit on towards all chat, and we also got to see a couple of key plays there from Bradley in those fights, as well as keeping up with beautiful CS and actually holding the lead. So very nicely done for them, and we'll see if maybe they can continue that going in towards the game 2 as we get into the draft now, Beatdown.
Some really talented players there on the side of Wildcard Red, especially the younger ones in Bradley and Daption. And it's like you said, we're going to see how that goes for them in game 2. Things started off really well. Maybe they can keep that momentum off. Now we're going to see what the compositions are going to look like going to game 2. We could see that salty run back, which I think would be pretty fun, as it was still a very interesting game. Or maybe things might get switched up. The sides haven't changed, and I doubt priorities are going to change either. So let's see how this plays out.
Well, I'm not going to get an Aurelian Soul, unfortunately, for all you guys that love to see APA on that champion, including myself. I'll throw myself in there. We were not going to see it for at least the second game either. Now it's about taking off some of these high priority champions, and this is kind of following in line with a lot of the bans that we saw last time around here. Beatdown, the Gwen, and the Nocturne also will be taken out.
Yeah, usual stuff. You got to imagine Resolve still going to be banning away the Rumble once again as well on their side too. Just a lot of really strong picks you can take on the first pick on blue side. Just want to take them away. You don't want to see them. And I'm really interested to see how many times Gwen actually gets to be played in this tournament here. I know
That's true.
got a number.
It should be interesting to kind of get that final number at the end, right? But Rumble also will be removed and banned away, as it's going to be maybe a couple more junglers. We did see the Udyr first pick last time around there in the first phase. That's very possible to come through. Now, I got to ask Beatdown, you mentioned that we could see a run back. Do you want to see Resolve run things back and see if they can actually tie it up the series, or do you want them to go back to what they've really found success with throughout the season, which is actually looking for some of these aggressive plays and creating advantages off of it?
That's tough because we were talking about before and during game one how Resolve again now are showing us some of these different looks, and I like this look from Resolve. And I actually would like to see this kind of composition played out by them again. Like early mid game was played so well by that squad, and it was just the crucial team fights again. That adaptation coming through from Wildcard Red is what ultimately cost them to lose. So going into game two now, I want to see if they go for a similar style composition. They could still pull it off, maybe just do one or two things differently, or maybe they do switch things up. Maybe they do go for the more aggressive composition with a little more early game agency.
Well, the Udyr does come through again for Wildcard Red. Winston had a pretty solid game on it overall. Didn't maybe get a whole lot of ganking done in the other game, but kept up in the CS and did what he had to as we got later securing those objectives. Resolve. Now we find out, do they want to run that salty run back? And there's the Hecarim for us, Beatdown. It's looking a lot more likely now.
And you bring up an interesting point, keeping up in farm too. That's really impressive because so much farm was funneled towards Fnatic and of course Array during the mid game as well, with the support item purchase from APA helping pick up some of that extra gold. So for Winston to be able to keep up, that's nothing to sneeze at, to say the least now. So I'm curious. We actually very well could get the, oh my god, it's happening.
But you can prepare for it too. So like, you know, as Wildcard Red, like expecting like a Seraphine maybe to come back in, like do you actually bring in some different champions now? Or I feel like I'd be on the same page of like, if you guys want to run it back, we'll run it back and slap you again. And that's got to feel really bad when you're talking about a best of 5, because at the best of 3, the series is done at that point in time if you lose the salty run back. But if you win it in a best of 5 in the second game, then you're down 0-2 and just the mentality just completely changes. You're automatically shifted towards changing up that composition. But Wildcard Red, so you have to figure out what that the next lock-in will be, and it looks like we do get a Sylas coming on in.
Well, it was banned during the second rotation of bans in game 1, so because you already have some really strong ultimates to steal from the Nautilus and the Hecarim, immediately they think, you know what, we're okay to blind this one. It is still technically a flex, can play in either solo lane, and jungle if you really want to, but nobody wants to do that. And so this is still pretty good, I think. And they're actually, they're just going all in on this dive as well here. Now they got the Rel for themselves. And even though the Nocturne isn't available, I think being able to dive with the Sylas still gives you the opportunity to make great use of that attractive repel.
And this kind of puts Resolve in a bit of a pickle for as far as, you know, do we actually want to, you know, lock in a Seraphine like this before going in towards phase 2? Do we want to wait, see if it gets through? Like, those are some of the questions that you have to be asking right now. For as far as behind the lines, and nope, they will not. It will be the Renekton, this time maybe piloted by PCL or APA.
And I think they're not going to pick it like at all, because now the interesting thing with Wildcard Red also picking the Sylas is it's usually something in response to something like a Seraphine, but in this instance, because they know Resolve might be looking towards the same composition, it's like, okay, we're going to take the Sylas, but if you pick Seraphine, that's just another great team fighting tool you are giving over to whoever's piloting this champion on the side of Wildcard Red, whether it's Bradley, whether it's Dokla. The point is, Seraphine might not be in Resolve's best interest anymore at this point, so I think that's why they grabbed this Renekton, still technically flex, and they're just going to see what information they can get out of Wildcard Red with some of these bans and whatever's left.
I like the Gnar ban. Get that out of the picture. We know how easy it is really to play, I think, safe side, or rather weak side Gnar in towards that top lane. So we'll remove that. And now it's going to be the Orianna also taken off the table. I think this is what we saw banned in towards phase 2 as well in the game number 1. So trying to eliminate some of the AP, because you do need it overall. I think that's the key factor, is even if we don't see the Seraphine, which I'm sure Wildcard Red are like leaving it up, hoping that it ends up coming through, you do have to kind of weave in some of this AP for as far as this draft here for the side of Resolve.
And one thing interesting too is that focus on mid and top lane it just shows how much of a priority it is.
Yeah.
The Draven ban is actually interesting because I was just thinking about whether or not we would try to pinch the ADC pool rather on either one of these sides. Arrow did play the Draven in the series previously in their quarterfinal matchup, so it's definitely on the table here for Wildcard Red. At least it was.
It was, yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, Beatdown, but I would not want to be playing against Arrow on Draven. That is for sure. So
No.
let's just get that out of there. Let's not deal with it. I like where Resolve's head's at. Now Wildcard Red might come through with another mid lane ban. We'll see if that is the case. And well, it's actually that Ezreal.
Ooh.
So actually getting a response here from production. That Ezreal is in fact Kai'Sa. So the Ezreal still
Makes more
available, but
sense.
Kai'Sa will be taken out.
Pretty much the same bans, of course. Again, Kai'Sa, because no AD carry's been picked, fits so well with Resolve's comp. We've already seen this movie before. Just get rid of that champion pick and see what Resolve are going to look for here. We saw the accidental pick on our side from the Xayah, so
Right.
maybe that's something Wildcard Red could actually look towards going into the second phase. But of course, you gotta imagine Resolve are gonna pick AD on this, and yep, there it is, Tristana, and
that.
it's gonna be about the top counter pick. Or mid counter pick, rather.
Wildcard Red still need to pick themselves an AD carry, as Varus is also up, I do believe, here. So you could look at bringing
Yep.
that in. We did see Arrow play a couple of Varus games very early on and had some pretty strong performances. We know those piercing arrows, how deadly they get as we get a couple items on that champion overall, but you did mention it.
Chains of
Do you have
Corruption?
to, yeah, that's right. It just, man, sometimes I saw a clip of like a Cho'Gath getting like completely one-shot by Chain of Corruptions in towards a piercing
Yep.
arrow that was full AP, but
Wait, I saw that, yeah.
that was gross. Do not want to ever experience that nor see that again, but it will be no Varus for us Beatdown. It will be an Aphelios, and then a quick pick here for Dokla will be the Jace.
That's an interesting one. Arrow did have a solid performance, actually a really good performance in the early laning phase on this Aphelios. You don't have the same protection a Thresh offers you, but you still have some serious dive potential with this Rel, and the fact that if you are dived upon, Attract Repel can still work in a sort of self-peel kind of way where you can try and stun them, give Arrow the opportunity to potentially try and escape with his life, and wow, that's an R5.
That's an R5 for sure. Beatdown, that's a Ziggs, man. Like,
This is Ziggs.
I love APA for this exact reason. He is just so exciting to watch. His Aurelion Soul is basically an automatic ban, so you're guaranteed a ban for this. We're not going to see the Aurelion Soul likely in this best of 5, but we now get a Ziggs, something that's going to be a lot more active for APA. He can look to poke. He can be very annoying at the start of these fights, especially when they're trying to enter in towards the river. So this is a pick that we just do not see this often, and you have to assume APA is putting some time on it, and it'll be really fun to watch for sure in this game too.
You know what would be more fun to watch?
Hit me.
As Ziggs ADC in this situation.
Whoa.
So I'd be really curious to see if that's where this one goes to. Yeah,
True.
It's definitely a possibility,
Good point.
especially because you got to imagine that we're going to see that Silas probably go topside, not have to deal with the mid lane Ziggs if that's the case, because that would just be a pain. So it is Ziggs mid. Oh, and Bradley will still be operating the Silas. He is really strong on these melee dive sort of picks, so he could still give us a good performance here.
Well, I'm liking game 2 already, ladies and gents, as it's Wildcard Red with the series lead coming off of a very slow game number 1, but as we got to mid to late, that's when they started out playing Resolve. And if you know this Resolve roster, they typically like to get mixy in the early game. Look for some of these flips, try to get some of that dragon stacking going for us. And this is just a matter of, are we going to see that Resolve, or will we get this controlled, calculated Resolve here in this game 2 again?
Well, you definitely do have to do a little bit of early safe farming for the side of Resolve again. Nothing really changed about Hecarim between game 1 and game 2. He definitely still needs to get to level 6 before he can do anything serious, anything mixy, as you said, Austin. So I think Resolve are still going to play the early game slow and calculated, unless like a really, really nice opening presents itself. You got to imagine Dokla, if he gets control of that top lane, gets pushed really far, Fnatic has an opening at level 4, maybe we'll see something happen, but besides that, I'm not seeing it for the first 6 or 7 minutes.
Likely not, but Vision spotted out. Winston again, starting leashless. He's doing what every jungler hates to do, but it's for the better good of his team, and will just try to be as sneaky as possible in the early stages without being scouted, as we'll see both supports start out with the sweepers, just trying to take away the Vision. but that will in fact happen as we'll see Winter start to walk up a little bit more. And Daption now on towards the rally, found a lot of great death sentences in towards that game 1 for us. Beats down, and we'll see how he fares coming in towards this game 2, and another engaged champion that can really set up a lot of these players.
And on the flip side, Winter, who we see more often than not, is really good with finding roam timers and being able to affect other lanes. In game 1, didn't really get the chance to do so because he spent a lot of time with Array, making sure he wasn't getting dove, making sure things weren't getting too bad for him in the bot lane. And granted, it did work out, but maybe this game now, when you're on a safe pick, like a really safe pick like the Tristana, I want to see maybe if Winter can go affect some of these other lanes, especially as time goes on. Bradley could potentially threaten APA, and who knows, a gank from Winter could change that.
Very well could. There's a little bit of respect will be shown here for the Wildcard bot lane. Don't want to get hooked up here by that dredge line. It's PCL now on the other side of this matchup. Remember, he was wielding that volley bear in the game number 1. It actually held his ground for a good amount of that game, but ended up getting picked as we got later. Kind of the same role with this Renekton, looking to be oppressive in the team fights, looking for the carries, trying to bring home someone like an Aphelios that should be a pickup if he can get on top of them, but has to get through the landing phase. And Dokula actually plays a lot of Jace, on stream. I think this has got to be one of his favorite champions, I think, to play in solo queue in a lot of cases for his beatdown. So it's not going to be easy, and we're already seeing that early CS lead actually built up for him as he's pressuring the Renekton under tower.
Now, I know you agree with what I'm about to say, Austin. That's what you want to see when we're seeing Jace come through, man. We want lane domination. Jace, if he doesn't have a huge CS lead in the early game, it usually does end up being kind of chalked. He just basically ends up being a poke bot like it's Facebook. We don't want to see that.
No, we do not. Is low on mana, but hey, look at this. We wanted to see something a little bit different, and moving right in towards the jungle will be Fnatic and Winter. Winter's just going to guide Fnatic through as they'll take a reset and get back on towards the map. And it looks like Winter as well as AP will do the same. I like this. Resetting as a squad. Everyone moves back out as a unit.
That's right, and with Array already walking back to lane, everybody's going to be present for this dragon that's going to be coming up in a minute's time. It's probably like game 1 though, resolve. Not likely going to be able to contest it, barring a quite a mistake from Wildcard Red, but we're going to have to see. Nothing is set in stone, although the vision from Wildcard Red is just a little bit better in the river, and you even see some of the deep wards coming through there in and around that Raptors pit.
Dokla back to lane. TPs have been used by just about every single solo laner besides PCL, but might have to use that once a little bit more poke comes through, as Dokla is now that much stronger and looking to stack up the tier. Winter is here, just trying to hover in and around APA, which I do love because he's on the Ziggs. He is very vulnerable. If the Silas gets on top of him and a Winston follows up with a bear slap stun, that is going to be pretty difficult to get away from. But Winter will find Daption in the river. APA going to hover on by just in case something breaks out, and it doesn't look like they want any of it just in case Winston's nearby.
I love it. Both mid and support hovering for each other here, and now Winston just very clearly hovering to make sure Bradley can get the shove and also support Winston in this play he's making right here. He's a level up. He can look for this 1v1.
That's what I wanted to see, you know. Try and punish the Hecarim, especially before level 6, and Winston's just going to be annoying. Bradley goes right onto the tower.
Oh my god!
Oh man, he's taken down for first blood, but PCL does utilize the TP. Gets right in towards the front of the line. The exhaust come through. Low health bars for Winston. Low health bars for Bradley. Trying to get that Kingslayer HP, but won't be enough as PCL's TP will even up the odds 1-for-1.
Okay, you go 1-for-1 though, which is incredible. This is just wild from Bradley here, and you can see it. The attract repel is on him, like we talked about in the draft. Bear stun, you get the second E, and then another stun. Now it's Fnatic, who might as well take his hands off of the keyboard here, but the TP from PCL and the flash committed, even though he's exhausted, is what ultimately allows the answer back to come through. But the nice thing about it is Winston doesn't die here and can immediately go back to farming here. This could potentially add up and get him a sort of lead. Maybe it can allow him to go towards the dragon. Arrow's in trouble.
Ooh, that's actually the flash from Arrow. Winter trying to tank it up for Array, but Winter might be taken down. Arrow comes in with a flash of his own, able to take away one. Don't think there'll be a second. Fnatic maybe trying to get in. Remember, no flash available for Arrow, as we'll see Array completely taken down. Fnatic is also low. It's gone horribly wrong. A 2 versus 3 goes the way of Arrow and Daption.
And the early game is going much more catastrophically for Resolve. play after play being made by Wildcard Red, and unfortunately, Fnatic could not save Array, which means Sefelios gets to pick up some of these turret plays, and you can see it. Arrow knows his support is nearby, so he is not too worried about this, but still will bowl the flash. And because he has the Gravitum, he gets to hold Array in place. And it just makes such a nice follow-up. Winter at level 3. You can't take too many tower shots, Austin. And at this point, they just walk him down. Fnatic is like a lamb to slaughter. It's just another easy kill for this bottom lane to pick up.
That is just so tough. And now look at Arrow, of all people, who have just accelerated drastically early in towards this game. 2-0. Has himself a CS lead, and things just got a whole lot tougher for the side of Resolve. They're taking some more of these fights, and it has not gone their way. But we'll see APA doing the job poking Bradley, making sure he's not farming freely, as we might just see a solo below. Oh, no! APA shows us the Ziggs, picks it into the Silas, and comes away with a solo kill.
So Resolve are finding something here. They might be looking for a little bit more. We got a lane gank potentially from Fnatic, who's level 6 now, Austin. That Onslaught of Shadows is available. There's a play.
Dokla, is he going to read this?
Oh,
I don't think so. Fnatic just waiting. There's
stun.
the stun. Follow it up, and
done.
Dokla gonna flash. I don't think he gets out of this. Fnatic comes through. One more auto should get it done, and that will be the case, as they'll make a couple of plays on both solo laners, and Resolve showing that they're still fighting in this game too.
Really crucial. They were never hoping to get that first dragon in the first place, so all Wildcard can do is just trade it. And this is still pretty nice for Resolve, who things aren't working out too well for them, but now they are answering back. Now they are the ones making plays. Although, you will lose your bot side jungle if you are Fnatic, which is, well, unfortunate. You're going to lose that blue buff and a little bit more. Still, this is nice from Resolve, who are still not letting themselves fall too far behind here.
Playing through the bot lane, finding objectives. Wildcard Red still holding on to a 1,000 gold lead. But now you have PCL's got a kill, and that's going to at least make things a little less pressuring in the top lane up against Dokla, who now no longer has his flash, and PCLs will be up first. APA, he's handling both melees in the mid lane, as Fnatic is just nearby in case something does break out, but he'll get the shove, doing a good job of making sure Bradley stays in lane, which is one of the keys when we're talking about Silas. But an angle has been found. Bradley simply goes in. There's the onslaught of shadows, but a beautiful reaction means that Fnatic gets himself out. This next tower shot doesn't come through, but Dapchin with the Magnet Storm sets it up beautifully. Jungler is down. APA, no flash, will be able to get the R off, but no trades come through, and a big response for Wildcard Red happens in the mid lane.
What an insane heads-up play. Big props to Dokla, especially for roaming from time here. And you can see it on the mini-map. He shoves that wave and immediately starts walking down because he knows that Bradley is in trouble. And because of Bradley, who, wow, somehow while the ult was casting, steals and then casts it, makes it just that much easier for Dapchin to get the knock-up and the ulti. And it's just easy pickings here. It's like fish in a barrel.
And you know what? Dapchin's also been out roaming Winter quite a bit throughout this set, but I think we have something breaking out in the bot lane there, as we see Dapchin taken fairly low in an exchange. Array also showing, hey, listen, I'm playing Tristana, so you got to be careful if you walk up too far, and we'll punish him there quite a bit. But yeah, I think that's one of the big factors, because we were watching over the last series with Resolve up against C9am. It felt like Winter was just all over the map. That was something we were saying when we were watching the VOD beatdown. We're like, Winter just feels like a second jungler right now with everything that he's doing, right? Really difficult to deal with. But so far, it's actually been really good windows that Dapchin's been able to find and actually create plays, whether that was the first blood that came through right underneath the tier 2, or just that play where he finds the nice knock up into the Magnet Storm.
Now we got a nice gold lead for Wildcard Red here. We're looking at 2,000 in this point, although 1,000 is on Dapchin, who's picked up quite a bit of gold for himself there. But this Aphelios is 2-0 here, so Arrow is quite accelerated at the moment, and you can see it. Array, he's already purchased a call and is working his way through it. He's not making any big time plays anytime soon here, and because now the Rift Herald is available, they're going to get that first turret blood there over into Arrow's pocket, which further accelerates him, because now this extra gold he gets for himself is so nice. But Resolve, they want to fight.
Array, I'm really confused on this one, but maybe it's a bait. We'll see if they can turn it around. Fnatic on the side, he's going to be taken low. Another jump comes through for Array, and now everyone looks to enter in towards the fight, but there's a lot of low health bars for Resolve in the backline. Winston goes all in, pushes them out of the fight, but look at PCL. He's able to come away with one, almost a second. Arrow survives
alive.
with a sliver of
He's
HP,
not.
but in the end will be taken out from APA. It's just trades back and forth as Dokla secures the double. 3 versus 3. Winston sets up the play, and now it's a 4 for 2, a triple for Dokla as Winston runs down Array. The jump doesn't come in, and we get a 12-minute ace.
Oh, and the timing was just a little off for Array, but that simply is what sets it all off here. The fact that he goes in a little too soon because he knows his team is nearby. And of course, if you're Wildcard Red, you think, this is illegal. Like, we have to kill this man. And because he does manage to get out, you have the TPs coming through. You can see Bradley, who holds on to the stolen depth charge for so long and finally will commit it onto Fnatic, which means he can't participate in this fight. And it allows Dokla to do this damage unencumbered, meaning that even once Array jumps in, he can't really help.
I'm not gonna lie, the start of that fight, I was just genuinely confused because the Rift Drill gets summoned. There's only 2 tower plates left. The Rift Drill's gonna take at least 2, so you're exposed with no tower, and the support wasn't there just yet. The collapse came in from behind, so very puzzling, and now Resolve are really going to suffer from it because that is a first tower that is going to be secured for Wildcard Red. They've built themselves up quite a nice gold lead, closing in on 5,000 here very, very soon, and this is just not what you wanted to see for a team that actually really comes online in the mid game. You're talking about Jace, talking about Silas. When they come away with a couple of items here for us, Beatdown, they can begin to get that much more scrappy in and around these fights and these skirmishes, and it just feels like it's going to have to be a lot of recovery, and maybe it starts here. Bradley, no flash, caught out in the blue quadrant. That is a beautiful charge in from behind for Fnatic, but it is a Silas buying quite a bit of time. Does Bradley have it in him to get out? Onslaught of Shadows, but it's right in towards the arms of APA. However, the Kingslayer keeps him alive, and APA can't lend the CC. Bradley is alive. The Dragon goes over, but here's the re-engage from Fnatic. A beautiful ultimate as it finds 2, and that will be at least 2 going down for Wildcard Red.
Really nice play off of the deep vision. You see there, Winter knows he can set up the play, and Bradley, a valiant effort, but will not live in the end here. Still, Wildcard Red are the ones in the lead. They are the ones dragon stacking, and Dokla, he's just continuing to be a menace here in the side lane. That feels like a bait array, but also you don't have flash, so please do not walk up to this top laner who is 30 levels ahead of you.
And let's make sure we do not get one shot by the Jays because Dokla has that available. Level 11 PCL though.
Sure does.
Making some responses of his own. Will come away with a tower. Tower still though in favor of Wildcard Red. They've done a good job of that, but the gold lead does at least come down with a couple of those shutdowns going over. It was almost 5,000. It's been cut down to 3. So still very possible for Resolve to work back in towards this game, but with the dragon stacking here again, we don't have that mountain for about 4 minutes. However, you can't allow Wildcard Red to get towards a mountain soul, and that's when Resolve are going to be really ramping up towards here in the next 3.5 minutes.
I'm glad you brought that up because they haven't reached their spikes yet in particular. Not everybody even has their mythics ready to go here. For the most part, we're waiting on Array to finish things off. And Array, well, Tristana scales really well. I'm sure everybody agrees with me on that fact. So Resolve certainly aren't out of this yet. And once that mythic comes through, once these item spikes come through for Resolve, they're still going to have a window to be able to try and make some of these fights happen. Fnatic, once he has the ult available, if PCL can be the ones finding these deep flanks on the Renekton, like we saw Dokla do in Game 1, it is still possible, because if you look at the gold lead, Arrow is the one who holds the majority of it, the one that matters, rather. And if you take him out of the fight from a nice flank, Resolve are in this.
Array has found a nice window to come away with some tower damage. Will maybe try to come back to it as he realizes, all right, I might be okay for this. I got some vision in the tri-brush. It will be Dokla tries to respond, but I don't think he gets here in time. Array should be able to come away with the bomb. Dokla's shock blast does quite a bit of damage there, but Array should be fine. Still far off from the dragon as resets are going to be taken across the map, and this is where Resolve are just simply looking to stabilize a little bit, just get away with as much farm as possible. And now those mythics starting to come in, as we'll see, about 3 members, now 4, as that's another one picked up for Array. But while this happens, Winston's gonna just come away with a Rift Herald. And last time around, Beatdown, when we saw the Rift Herald taken before the dragon spawned, specifically the third one, he dropped it right beforehand. We'll see if there's any adjustments for Resolve in case that play does take place again.
Yeah, it is worth noting, Resolve in that scenario did end up securing the dragon, and they're going to need to do so again. in this game too, because again, like you said, you can't let this one go through. And I think Resolve are going to be happy that the Baron won't be up when Dragon spawns. So as long as they keep up this vision that they have, which is so well placed right now, the pinks are all around. They have deep vision set up in a lot of crucial places. It does mean they can be able to get it done on spawn, and maybe Wildcard Red are okay with that, because Bradley's going to continue pushing in top. He does have TP, should a fight break out, so does PCL, but do Wildcard want to actually fight this one?
Winter back out on towards the map here. A lot of vision, as you said, placed right in towards the river in that red quadrant. You're going to know exactly where Wildcard Red are actually going to be setting up their vision, just because everything they do will show on the mini-map. But Era's feeling pretty confident in the mid lane. He pokes away at APA, and well, here's that Rift Herald play, so it doesn't come right before the Dragon. Instead, will come a minute beforehand. As this tower is going to be taken low, Dredge line does not find its mark, but in the back line, Winston's actually chunked out APA. Winter forced in towards the stasis, but that is going to leave him all alone. Tries to flash away, can't get out with his life. The re-engage, onslaught of shadows. Fnatic goes all in, but he is taken down. Now it's time for PCL. What can the Croc find? All he finds is a stun lock as he can barely move, and we get 4 down for the side of Resolve.
Well, that could have been a highlight play from PCL, but the layering of CC is so beautiful. And 35 seconds before the Dragon getting wiped like that and getting this goal lead increased that much further is just going to spell the end here. And the poke coming out from Arrow, and even more so, Dokla. Watch APA's health just disappear like that, and Winston can just walk around and threaten it now. It's so easy for them to set up this play, and because, well, the PCL isn't anywhere nearby, he can't actually help. This is a 5v4, and him TPing after really ultimately doesn't amount to much because he can't do the cleanup.
Wow, just look how close this was. I really thought this was a pop-off moment, especially with Array still alive, just waiting, and then once he sees PCL taking him down, it's like, all right, I'm not allowed to fight. But hey, that was the first fight. Might just get a second. We'll see Winter get himself out as the Dredge line connects on towards the terrain. Just fighting over vision, but a re-engage on towards Bradley. Ignite is down. No. Winter too far forward. Dokla will find and claim the kill. 4 versus 5 as Resolve somehow need to resolve the situation. You can't give over a third Drake, but it very well might go over.
Yeah, the only thing they have going for them is that a big wave is pushing topside, but they could still find the engage. Array's in.
Dokla's down. The shutdown is here for Array, and now what was a man advantage for Wildcard Red will no longer be the case. Resolve still 4 members strong, debating on whether or not they want to start this Dragon, and now they'll pull the trigger and look to secure it.
Yeah, they're going to pull it out, and that's going to be an easy secure. Arrow's low in HP. You just don't have the means to actually fight this one, and that's a big catch out and a critical error coming out from Dokla going into that fight. And because of that, you give a big shutdown over to this Tristana of all people in Array. And these are the things that are going to allow Resolve to find their way back into this game here. Wildcard, of course, still in the lead, but even in a 5v4 scenario, you can see what Resolve could potentially do if they find the flanks, if they find the catch outs, and allow Array to just do what Tristana does.
Well, 5,000 gold lead in favor of Wildcard Red, but a good chunk of that is the support differential, so that's at least good news here for some of the carries. However, this is the Baron started up, being shredded from Arrow and Winston. But this was gutted out last time in the game number 1, and it looks like Resolve will be here. So 6,000 HP on that Baron. They'll no longer commit onto it, and they will push them off of it, make sure that the big purple worm doesn't go down. However, we did just see Winston walk back in as he actually starts this up one more time.
Yeah, you might potentially just be clearing out the pink ward that's there. Yeah, so he wants to make sure it is dark for Resolve. Think twice before recalling on their side here, but it's looking like they are quite confident it is not going to be the case here. Dokla's back. Might look for a play onto PCL though, but Dominus is up, so this could get dicey.
3.5 minutes before that next Dragon, Dokla wants to find some advantages on towards PCL with this massive lead that he has. 6, 2, and 6. Just those shock blasts. If they hit any of these carries, like APA, like Array, it's going to do just about half of their HP and make it very difficult to re-enter into the fights that take place for us. Certainly a problem, and Winston now will come and assist Dokla. The shock blast is not going to find its mark. PCL actually closes a lot of distance quite quickly. Doesn't even use the Dominus, and that is a nice play here out of the top laner for Resolve to make sure there is no picks on the side lane.
Yeah, really important he holds onto the ult. There might be a fight soon on the top side of the map, as his TP is going to be up very shortly as well. So that may come in handy in the minutes to come. So overall, things are just back to a really slow state. Wildcard still in control, but Resolve, we see, have found ways to get themselves back into the game here. Array is quite strong. You got to imagine, once that Phantom Dancer is built and he's on even footing with the arrow, he's going to be very impactful in these team fights. Again, if Dokla is not careful about his positioning, like in that dragon fight, things might not go so well for Wildcard.
Winter will walk here with Fnatic and APA. Just a little check. Vision is good. No one is on the Baron, but Dokla still being a menace on the side lane. PCL just constantly has to stay down here, and he doesn't have his teleport. He'll have it very, very soon. And I think Dokla is simply just going to try and stay out of vision, make them question whether or not he's actually reset or if he is still on the map. Fnatic going to clear some vision here. It's a stack in the mid lane for Resolve, just trying to move as a unit. They do not want to get picked before this dragon, which will be up in about 2 minutes now.
Yeah, so a lot of grouping in the mid lane. Resolve really focused on their team fight, as they only have PCL who's pushing things out in the side lane at the moment. And leaving AP on his own is something they're probably not interested in doing at the moment here. So till this dragon comes up, things are probably going to be pretty chill, unless Resolve or Wildcard find one of those openings we've seen so far in this series where, hey, they're on reset, they're not on the map, we can take this Baron right now. But until then, I think we're chilling. Dokla, he's just going to recall as he is serenading his blaster.
Just baiting us. Just baiting us. He's just getting
baiting us.
some little
I
dance moves
believed
out there.
him.
Just looking pretty closely down at that. I don't even know what do you call this thing that Jace holds. I'm trying to think of a name of it.
Mercury Hammer?
Let's go with that. Yeah, let's go with that. Beats down. I like that.
It's
just got a nice ring to it, so if it's right, I'm liking it overall.
Hey, thank Riot.
True. But Dokla is just gonna show a lot of discipline right now in the side
Mercury
lane.
Cannon.
Yeah, there we go. Mercury Cannon. That's just like, man, that is such a sick name. I love that right there.
Isn't it?
And then when it drops down on you, it's not so sick if you're the squishy, but hey, it feels good if you're the Jace.
No. Yeah, or the Jace's teammate.
Exactly. But we are now getting very close to this dragon, a big one. Resolve able to come away with that third Drake. As they're moving in towards the river, Winter will lead that charge, and as you start clearing out some of the pinks, just getting any vision they can off the table.
And it's really important because Bradley is still pushing the side lane, threatening this tier 2. Dragon, they still have some time, and it looks like nobody's going to answer him. So you can see it. Winter's looking for these dredge lines, looking for an opportunity to start off these fights, because in the few seconds it's going to take Bradley to TP, that could very well be somebody's life if Resolve are quick enough. So now they take control of the vision here. Winston just doing Udyr things, being annoying, but how much can he really do here? These resets, I think, tell me Wildcard, they're not interested. They're going to let this one go. 2 dragons is okay, but hopefully
TP?
They don't let go of any more. Oh, wait, maybe, yeah.
All right, so Dokla's going to wait for his TP, and now, also, look, he's got Guardian Angel. As he comes in from behind, looking for some poke. Winter wants to engage on him, but really just pushes him away and shrugs him off. 3,000 HP on the dragon. Winston left alone in the pit. Will we get a smite fight? Looks like it's a reset. PCL goes in, but just baits out a few of the abilities. No one going down just yet, but Adaption tries to go in. Array able to dodge away from the Magnet Storm, as we'll get Bradley with the re-engage. Dokla goes all in. Array is taken very low. Array will still stay alive as he flashes over the pit, but Resolve, they're trying to escape with those little health bars that they have left, and it's a double picked up for Bradley. The dragon has not gone over, but it's going to be Arrow making sure it's secured.
Adaption with the legendary engage coming out here just to find the sick Magnet Storm to start everything off here. And it's like you called, Array gets chunked down so low, and even though he gets to live to tell the tale, it is a sad one as Wildcard get the soul point, and they will also be securing this Baron here.
Fnatic, any heroics? No onslaught of shadows. Has to simply guess. He's just got to guess. He's got to go, and the guess doesn't look terrible, but they're waiting. They have scouted them out. They'll get off the Baron. There will be no miracle steal for the side of Resolve, and another kill was collected as the big purple worm is secured. The buff will go over, and Wildcard Red, they are running away with this gold lead.
Now, in the next 3 minutes are going to be probably some of the worst Resolve I've had to deal with in this series. Now, they're so far behind when it comes to gold, and you can just see that they're not finding the skirmishes that they might be looking for here, Austin. Because at the end of the day, when you have someone like Renekton, when you have Hecarim, and even Nautilus. You have a lot of tools to start off these fights, but it's Wildcard Red who are the ones who are more active, more proactive, I should say, in looking for some of these angles here. Sick plays from Daption, from Fog, is how they win fight after fight after fight. And now, well, we're going to need to see some miracle engages from Resolve if they want to be able to weather this push and find a way back into this game.
And Array, really got to start relying on him to pull off some big moments in these team fights on this Tristana. There could be an engage. Bradley just looking for something, not going to find any players there with the CC, so we'll just walk through. Winston, I mean, he's playing Udyr, so he can walk right up and he's A-okay.
Sure
He will not be worried whatsoever. Fnatic, though, has been caught. Does have the ultimate, forced to use it, but it's not the best usage. Right into the wall. Easy pickup here for Arrow. That's the first one down. You lost a massive engage. PCL forced out here with the Dominus. Going to make things that much more difficult defending this inhibitor, and I more or less think that Resolve might just give this up.
There's no way you want to fight this one at this point. You can't defend it. You're probably going to lose two, but they go for it.
Oh, they do try to go for it. Winter's pushed out of the fight. Array still alive, but taken low. That's going to be the route right on towards APA. The shock blast will find Winter, and now it's up to Array and PCL. A 2 versus 5. A miracle if we'd ever see one, but it is just not looking likely. Winston's taking negative damage right now from Array, and they're just toying with them, looking to stack up some more. As that's going to be the GA popped out, but PCL will fall. Array is here, and well, Fnatic is not even interested. He knows this one is done and dusted. Wildcard Red put themselves one step closer to advancing to that grand final.
Oh, this is tough scenes for Resolve, to say the least. They got to, even though some things changed in this composition, it was still the similar style. And I think things in the early game were all right, but things get a little bit harder when you throw something like the Sylas into the mix. They see Hecarim and Nautilus, and Wildcard Red said, okay, bring out the Sylas. And because to me that was a dare, where it's like, yeah, bring the Seraphine, please. I would love that. And they ultimately did not, but Bradley was still able to contribute so much with the ultimates he stole into some of those key team fights, even in some of those replays we saw. And you know who else we got to highlight, Austin? Do you know who?
Who? Tell me, beat down.
Daption.
Okay.
Some of those fights were insane engage from him, playing from outside of vision, playing from the fog, to just be able to find these insane crash downs into some great ultimates is just nuts.
A lot of big moments overall. Wildcard Red looking solid for us at the moment, ladies and gentlemen, as they are 2-0 up. One more game. That's all they need, and they will punch a ticket into that grand final. But before we get towards game 3, we got to throw things to a break. Don't go too far. We'll be back after this.
보던 좋아할 거야 닿을 수 없는
forever, yeah, I'm troubling you, running it, I'm so cold. When I move that way, you gon' be so blown. I'm the realest in the game, said I'm on fire with the blade. You're about to hear my name, ringing in your head like whoa. So keep your eyes on me now. 무엇을 보던 좋아할 거야. I'm so tough, I'm scared to show you out. Can you feel the rush now? Ain't nobody bringing us down, 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 down. They could try, but we're gonna wear the crown. You could go another round, 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 round. Wish you luck, but you're not bringing us down. We go hard, till we get it, we go hard. We're so in it, we pop stars. Only winning, winning now. Ain't nobody bringing us down, 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 down. Oh, 난 멈추지 않아. Oh, oh, we go hard. Oh, oh, we pop stars, stars. Ain't nobody bringing us down, 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 down. They could try, but we're gonna wear the crown. You could go another round, 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 round. Wish you luck, but you're not bringing us down. We go hard, till we get it, we go hard. We're so in it, we pop stars. Only winning, winning now. Ain't nobody bringing us down, 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 down.
Game 2 was certainly much more of a wild ride in the early game than Game 1, but either way, it's Wildcard Red coming out on top, and now they sit at match and series point. They're just one game away from booking their ticket to the grand finals here in Take It. Welcome back again to All Chat, everybody. Pulsable, Dylan, and Smacks bringing you the action. And Dylan, I think it's fair to say there was a bit more action that game.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the matchup that I think a lot of us on the desk and on the cast were expecting. You know, something a little bit more bloody, a little bit more scrappy, where these teams are going at each other. I don't think that really suits Resolve, though, because I think individually across the board, the players on Wildcard Red, in my opinion, are just a little bit stronger. Mechanically, experience-wise, everything like that. So it feels like maybe Resolve wants to try and do something in the draft to slow down this third.
Well, one thing is for certain, Dylan. With Wild early game, you gotta favor the team that has Wild in their name. Wildcard Red seem to be taking really big advantages in that stage of the game, all puns aside. Very impressed with the laning on their team. And, I mean, we're seeing it all across the board as well, but especially bot lane. Arrow has been playing so incredibly well with Daption in that lane. And this is a very new duo to each other, too.
I mean, Wildcard Red have just been doing phenomenal. overall, honestly. And I think this is a good time to move into our segment for this mid-game, which will be League of Legends. I will be the Honorable Judge Pulsable presiding. I got a gavel in this time and everything. Also, don't mess with me because I might hit you with it. Both of our panelists will have one chance to make a point, and the other one will have two questions to poke a hole in that argument. Whoever I think has made the better set of arguments after both panelists have gone will get a certain degree of points depending on how things go. Smacks, we're going to start with you. What is something you are comfortable saying after seeing games 1 and 2?
I'm glad you asked, Paul. My case after game number 2 is that Bradley, the mid laner for Wildcard Red, is NA Showmaker. He is playing so incredibly well on the Sylas. His mechanics are top notch, and Twitch chat told me so.
Twitch chat told you so. That's I think I have to strike that evidence from the case. I don't believe that is objective.
No, they did. You can go back and look at the tape. You will know that I did not perjure myself. Twitch chat did in fact say that Bradley is NA Showmaker.
All right. I don't know if that passed the balance test, but either way, Dylan, you have 2 questions to ask Smacks to try and poke a hole in his argument now.
Yeah, Judge Paul, my first attack at his argument is what he said. I mean, you're building your argument off of Twitch chat. I mean, we see all sorts of things typed in Twitch chat. Just because Twitch chat says he's NA Showmaker, I mean, come on. It's tough. It's tough, Smacks. We've seen all sorts of players hyped up. What's your defense there? Now.
I did not make my argument exclusively off of Twitch chat saying that he's NA Showmaker. I already thought so. It's just nice to know that the general public agrees with me already, and you're not only arguing it's me, but also the general public. So that just makes my case a little bit stronger, I think. Judge Paul.
I see. My follow-up question is this. So you say he's NA Showmaker because of his prowess on champions like Sylas. Champions, that Showmaker is known for. Well, then how do you account for the fact that Bradley is somebody that's willing to play these other champions that aren't really the Showmaker style? What do you think of that kind of stylistic contrast?
Well, on Wildcard Red, it's really nice that he is NA Showmaker and he can do that. But they have other really nice pieces around them, like previous NA LCS, Arrow MVP in the bottom lane, and other veteran talent in the top and jungle as well. We've got Winston, we've got Dokla. So while he can perform just like Showmaker does in the mid lane on these other champions, his team is just that good as well, so he can be a little bit more flexible.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, after seeing the evidence, I have to say, I don't believe you've proven your point beyond a reasonable doubt here, Smacks. But I'm still hanging with you.
I would go with Jojo Pioon.
It's all right, okay? Now, Dylan, what's your take here? First 2 games already done and dusted. How are you feeling about this?
My take is this. I think Resolve is losing these games not because they are necessarily the worst team, but because they're in their own heads. I think just with how the first game went, they were so close to winning, they couldn't do it. With how this game started with such a poor play, I mean, we're seeing it on the replay right now. This is the worst start to a game that you could ever really hope for against Arrow on Aphelios. My take is that Resolve is actually arguably a relatively evenly skilled team, but they're just tilted. They're just playing horribly.
Wow, that is a strong take you are making there, Dylan. Smacks, you now have your opportunity. Ask your questions.
No, he's right. He's definitely right on this. I have some evidence as well to back up your claim here too. I know this is not how the segment works, but I agree. We have a tweet from APA. Let's see, this was 2 minutes ago. He says, we did a little trolling in games 1 and 2. Time to win game 5. So APA also agrees with you. I can't argue against the literal players on the team. Dylan is right.
Wow, okay. Dylan with the irrefutable case. This one should have been a plead guilty from Resolve. Well, actually, apparently they kind of did plead guilty to it on Twitter, didn't they? I guess APA just pleaded guilty. So, Dylan, I think I have to give you the win here. I think I'm going to give you.
Thank you.
I'm going to give you 10 whole points for this one.
Okay, we're making up for our
job, honestly.
We're making up for the pre-show blunders.
Well, I'm disappointed now because our bit's over and I haven't gotten to use my hammer. But C'est la vie. We got to move on. Game 3. APA is confident that Resolve can bring this back and run it all the way back for a reverse sweep. Smacks, for Game 3, they're going to be finally switching sides. They're on the blue side now. Do we feel that this helps their chances?
I feel like it's a good change of pace for them. Like Dylan said, they are a little bit in their own head. They are still trying to feel out this series and everything. So I think just getting that change of pace is going to be nice for any team that is struggling with that. What's curious to me is if we do see Wildcard still banning or if we see Resolve still banning the Gwen on blue side. Because if I'm remembering correctly, I do not believe that anybody on Resolve has actually played the Gwen in Cup quite yet. And for Wildcard, they've got Bradley, who was smurfing on Gwen even back in the Collegiate League of Legends Championship as well. So we've got a lot of tape from the players on Wildcard playing this really broken new champion. But if Resolve isn't confident playing this, then they might have to ban it on blue side, which is a little bit less than ideal. So we'll see how their draft actually does shape up in that regard.
What about you, Dylan? Any changes you're expecting now that we're swapping sides? I mean, the Aurelian Soul red side ban doesn't seem necessarily ideal for Wildcard now. So maybe we finally get that APA special?
Yeah, it feels like they're going to have to drop at least one or two of their, blue side kind of concrete bans. Something like the Karma, something that maybe could go through to a B1 pick for Resolve. I don't know. I mean, I said it in between Game 1 and Game 2 that I want to see APA on something a little bit more proactive, and I think the Ziggs was a really solid pick in that game, but I don't think it's how Resolve is going to win this series, because I think APA is a very good player. I think he's very good at the champions that he's been playing this series. I just don't know if stylistically it's how you beat Wildcard Red in this series, and I think that he's already in his own head a little bit. The whole team is not playing very well. Get something that kind of boosts the team's morale. You're able to kind of get something going in the early game, and that's kind of what I'm looking for in Game 3.
And we do have an update on our other series. As you can see right below me, Zeus Gaming currently leading 2-0. It seems like AoE randoms are going to have a pretty hard time finding the upset mirror, the upset pair, if you will, to the one they got over the other AoE team in the quarterfinals. Zeus, though, steaming towards that grand finals appearance, as we would expect from them. Let's stay on this, though, because I think that's an interesting point you brought up, Dylan. If APA getting more proactivity, getting a champion he's more comfortable isn't the answer, Dylan, what do you think is? Where do you want to see those pivots in draft?
I feel like when we looked at Barrage in the spring Proving Grounds games, to me it felt like APA and Barrage were at their best when he was playing things like Aurelian Soul, like Galio, Talia something. I mean, even like his Syndra and things like that were these champions where he was able to get a little bit of early game pressure while also staying within his wheelhouse of comfort. And I think that you can have that happen on some of these characters he's been playing this series. It's just hard, especially against a team like Wildcard Red, where I think it's safe to say that Bradley is probably a top 3, top 5 amateur mid laner. This guy is really, really incredible. And I feel like if you're going to give him free laning phases constantly, it's really not going to set your team.
Yeah. And I mean,
Bradley gets counterpick here too, right?
So also a good point.
They've been R5 mid lane for each of the Resolve games. APA has gotten the Seraphine last pick and the Ziggs last pick. So if Wildcard catches on to that and they say, wow, they really want APA to have a favorable mid matchup, they just give that to Bradley. We know that he has a very deep champion pool filled with all these melee mid laners, of which he's already picking in this series, even blind. He's picking the Sylas second pick on blue side, for goodness sake. So you can see how confident he is. What if he gets a counter matchup as well on top of all of that? This mid matchup is looking very one-sided here for Bradley, even after that solo kill for APA, just with how the game is progressing as well. And I think Dylan is absolutely right. I think we do need to see some more comfort for APA in a mid matchup that he can feel really good and really proactive on. But it has to be blind in this game too, so it might be a little difficult to accomplish.
Well, and quick before we start heading over to Game 3, Smacks, that's not the only lane that Resolve feel like they're getting a little bit of gapped in. I would say the gap's even wider down in bot lane.
Yeah, Arrow is looking incredible in that lane. I mean, the first game he got all 5 plays completely uncontested, 5-0. Yeah, Arrow is looking pretty unmatched in this series. We're gonna need to see Array step it up a lot if we are going to get to game number 4, because I mean, he won LCS MVP for a reason. Now he's back for that revenge.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see. Array, APA, everyone on Resolve has a lot of work to do in this game number 3 if they still want a chance at the grand finals. We're going to go to a break, and when we come back, it's game 3.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Challengers Uprising. We are in the middle of our semifinals, and well, at the moment, Wildcard Red, they are 2-0 up. It's myself, Visions, joined with Beatdown, as this very well might be our last game, Beatdown. Coming in towards this one, it's just Wildcard Red playing better at the moment through the first couple of games for us, and we'll see if they can do that going in towards the third as well.
Well, we'll have to see. I would really love for us to somehow go the distance into a game 5. APA, of course, like the desk message, had some choice words on Twitter as well. Believes the reverse sweep can happen. And you know what, APA, I'm believing with you. I really want to see it. And it all depends on how this third game is going to go here. I think game 1 was really close. And it was just a few key mistakes that we all highlighted was why Wildcard Red come out on top. Game 2, Wildcard Red really picked up the pace and started making these plays early to mid-game and just got a lead that ended up being insurmountable. So going into game 3, we have the side swap. We have APA's tweet in the bottom left corner there for your viewing pleasure. And we're going to see if Resolve can chain things up now that we've seen a side swap for the first time this series.
Yeah, we did a little trolling games 1 and 2, but time to win the game 5, baby, and now we'll see if they can in fact do it. You mentioned the side selection coming in here on towards the blue side, so something a little bit different. I feel like that might be fresh enough to come in here with a clear mindset, because you really have to forget about those last 2 games, back up against the wall, have to win it from here on out. But now we go back towards the draft, and this is where things maybe shake up for as far as, the priority and the bans and how they've, been taken away so far through the first couple of games. And we will see that Jace also removed, which I don't blame them, because Doklo was looking pretty damn good on it in the last game there for us.
Yeah, they're not interested in dealing with that. It could be that. It could be maybe they want to pick a Gnar, but maybe it's a little too early to say here. Sure. A lot of strong picks taken away, and even though the Karma might have done Resolve some good, Wildcard are immediately going to be taking that one off as well here. Worth noting, though, a lot of the strong AP junglers that haven't made it through the first wave of bans in the last 2 games are still up right now. We still have Rumble. We still have Morg, even though she's fallen out of favor. And Gwen? Diana is still available here. Gwen is, oh my god, no, they're banning Gwen. They have to.
Yeah, I have to. I'm with you. I feel like you have to really take away the Gwen, and This now actually gives Resolve the situation of like they can pick now what they want to take away. And in that last series, I want to say that Fnatic was on Udyr duty quite a bit and managed to get it throughout that series there versus C9 Amateur. So we'll see if that is the case, and actually won't be the case because it is banned away. So Gwen is up, and I feel like you have to take it, beat down.
Wow. Yeah, like there's just no question. She's just so strong right now. That's really so that kind of tells me that Wildcard Red are
We gotta play
want this to happen. There's some mind games going on here. Maybe this is some 100 Thieves level mind games where it's like if we leave Gwen open, they'll forget about it, and then we can pick it on R1. But realistically, maybe they have a plan. Maybe they know how they're going to deal with this champion pick, as of course, Resolve are going to grab her.
Yeah, they do lock that in, and I'm with you. If you're going to give this champion over, you clearly have something prepped, and the good news is that you do get a first selection at what jungler you want to bring in towards the composition, so we will get a Rumble as well as a quick pick on towards the Lucian that has the ability to flex around and towards a couple lanes for us.
Yeah, a couple is definitely the answer here for Wildcard Red. Even Dokla is no stranger to playing it in the top lane, so Resolve are going to have to be real careful with that one, especially if that goes top lane in PCL's hands. Maybe we could see Dokla run that. For now, though, we're going to see what else is... Wow. Okay, so it's going to be the Xin Zhao.
This is bold for sure, and I like
it.
Xin Zhao in towards a couple of matchups. The Rumble one, I actually think it's not too bad. If it was Udyr, I'm like, all right, definitely do not like this whatsoever. But
yeah,
you're actually able to get on top of the Rumble and force out some summoners, maybe even find some kills. A lot of early aggression. You can look for some invades. So yeah, I'm definitely on board with you here, Beatdown. We'll have to see what they want to pair with it as we're getting down the final couple of seconds. In Array, he's going to try out this Ezreal for the game 3.
I think all things considered, it was still a good game in game 1 for Array. So I like getting it here. You get yourself some pokes, some zone control, and some safe laning should you want Winter to do some of the roaming we keep talking about. Try to affect other lanes, try to match the roams from Daption we've been seeing so far this series. So either way, this is nice, and it gives Resolve what they haven't really had in the earlier parts of the series, and that's some early game agency. You have Xin Zhao, who is quite strong early, can look to do set up some of these plays pre-6, and I think that's something you want to try and leverage going into this early game for Resolve.
Now the Nautilus is also going to be coming on through, which means that we will finally see Winter on something a little bit different heading in towards this game 3, as we could get a pinch on towards the support bans. That's exactly what Wildcard Red are going to start to narrow in on, as they'll remove the Braum here first.
Yeah, solid, especially when you're trying to go all in. Braum is really good at dealing with that, so you immediately want to just take that one off the board. Ezreal Braum is a difficult lane to deal with, so that's off the table now, and they could just look to ban a second support should the time come here. And you got to imagine Resolve are probably going to continue looking to pinch that mid pool because Bradley's been playing pretty well. So
yeah, it's interesting to note that the Aurelion Sol is also up. That was the one of the main bans that we were seeing there from Wildcard Red when they were on this blue side for the first couple of games. So that is up. It's a second support ban. The Leona is here. Now, you would, of course, have a counter in towards it, which, again, makes us think that Wildcard Red are like, listen, APA, we're on red side now. So if you want to bring out your special Aurelion Sol and see if you can try to bring things back in towards the series, then we'll go ahead and try, because we might have something planned, but we'll finally see a couple more bans follow through. It was the Aphelios and the Gnar that was banned out for phase 2 here for Resolve.
Yeah, and it's not likely that it's Lucian ADC. We don't see a whole lot of that these days. He's much better in the solo lanes. So what will the matchup be for Arrow versus Array? He's been, honestly, the Varus is still available here. Array's done Arrow has done such great work on that champion as well here. Nautilus and Varus is definitely an annoying lane to deal with as well here. And the thing is, too, okay, I was unsure about the Renekton. It can still be flexed mid and top, of course, so you still have a lot of mystery there, but I still think if you go that Aurelion Sol, it's probably not going to be fun.
I can't imagine it would be. The Croc can definitely get on top of you, but they have to make that decision. Where are they going to put this Gwen? And it looks like Gwen might be coming in the mid lane for us. It will be a Wukong locked in. That's going to set up some nice engage alongside this Xin Zhao that's looking to go all in as well.
That's nice, too. You pair it up with the Alistar, which still offers a lot of playmaking over to Winter. He's had some phenomenal mammoth games on this champ. So I think you still have a lot of team fight available to you here if you are Resolve. And the thing that's so nice, too, is you have a lot of split pushing potential. You could definitely play this in a 1-3-1 style where you have the Gwen in the side lane, because no one in this game can 1v1 her at the moment. And of course, Wukong, if he gets ahead, can absolutely be that side lane monster as well here so far. And with that Kai'Sa lock in, well, there you go. That's Wildcard Red's 80 carry, and Winston, not Winston, Lucian is probably going mid.
Yeah, I think that likely will be the case for us, but it's definitely a turn for as far as, you know, what we're getting out of Resolve, which I think is important to see for a lot of the fans, even for the players, because you could see it from the tweets we were showing earlier on screen. Like, we trolled game 1 and game 2, so I think it's always important, if you're going to somehow pull off a reverse sweep, that game 3 is obviously the pivotal one where it starts to change back into your favor if you come away with it, and getting some fresh champions on towards these players, I think, could absolutely be that key to bring this one home. Either way, there has to be some improvements, and you have to give some credit towards Wildcard Red as well here for us, Beatdown, because their early games have actually been extremely solid. Not to say they haven't been in the past, but against Resolve, doing it at least in towards that last game for us, finding a lot of big moments is a really big key as well when you're looking to take these guys down and make sure that Resolve is not snowballing out of control heading in towards that mid game.
And that's why ADFX told us the way they plan to beat Resolve was just clean, disciplined League of Legends. That is all we've seen from them all series long. Like you were saying, Austin, how well that they're not getting sucked into Resolve's pace. They're happy with most of their drafts to make it just a farm fest where handshake farming like it's LCK in 2015, where it's just all we're going to do is farm for 30 minutes. And now, going into this next game, I think that's what Wildcard are going to have to continuously do to close things out here. Because Resolve's comp, Austin, they want to fight.
They want to fight, and this is just like what you want to see for these guys. Like, you want to see them in a position where they're starting fights, they're getting scrappy, and something like Gwen, which, you know, was let through, you have to remember this. So, you know, are we going to have something that's playing out for us in the mid lane that they just know how to shut this champion down? Because I think this was hit on really well from Dylan through all chat, where he's like, listen, they're not actually pressuring Bradley all that much in the mid lane. Like, we're typically used to seeing Winter come in towards the mid lane, you know, set up for some of these roams, but Daption has been beating him towards the punch. I mean, we saw that kill last game that took place in like the most awkward first blood I think I've seen so far in the season, Beatdown, where it was in between the towers and right beside the Raptor camp, right? A very strange first blood, but nonetheless it came through. But ladies and gentlemen, game number 3, Wildcard Red, they are up 2-0. Resolve, they have to respond. Backs up against the wall. What do they have left in the tank? We're about to find out.
Well, level 1 play, potentially, is already going to force Fnatic to flash as we see this invade coming through. Potentially could just be to clear this vision here if they actually get far enough on that ward. And we're going to have to see. Already an early disadvantage coming out for Resolved here. But it's kind of like you said, Jinja will be able to fight 1v1 with the Winston, with the Rumble, rather, and may be able to force a flash out of him. So he's still favored in these 1v1 scenarios, but this early game is still going to be really important for Resolve. And that's why you see PCL sitting in that tri-brush up there, waiting for Dokla to just walk up unsuspectingly.
I love this. Yeah, he's just waiting. He's like, yeah, go leash that red. I dare you to. You're not going to be coming back to lane very happy, that's for sure. It might be the case unless, you know, he walks right through the river. We'll see what kind of pathing will be here for Dokla, and it looks like he will actually maybe meet this Wukong right in towards the tri-bush, but PCL, he's not going to hang on to it. He'll come over towards the lane, maybe pull the wave in.
Oh, I like this one.
And yeah, I like this from PCL as well, pending he does it, but Dokla will, of course, not get cheesed in towards the tri-bush, and PCL will get the early push.
And ultimately, just going to amount to some trading here so far as everybody goes to their lane with little incident besides the flash on Fnatic here. And speaking of, eyes are going to be on him. Even though he doesn't have flash, still going to be having to make some plays. Use some of the early power this champion has to potentially set up some ganks here. Like you were talking about, they said it in all chat. Put some pressure onto Bradley. Get the flash out of that Lucian, who is notoriously mobile. Could be very crucial come some this early Dragon fight, early Herald fight, whatever the case may be. Just put some pressure on him.
The 2v2 is going to be quite deadly when you're talking about an Ignite available, as PCL actually goes for quite the trade. Conqueror fully stacked. You can see it, PCL. He was thinking, he was very much thinking about going for that solo bolo on towards Dokla, as it's finally him actually in a bit of control early against the Renekton.
And this is good for PCL. I mean, Wukong naturally stacks armor with this passive, so it's really nice into someone like the Renekton, and this is pretty much the forecast for how that top lane is going to look. But because Winston is pathing upwards, he could potentially make a play in that top lane and get Wildcard Red on the right foot here, and that's what I would like to see as he finishes up his scrub camp.
Winter is going to be locked up. Daption with a very nice reaction on the dredge line. Make sure that the Pulverize does not find Arrow, as we've seen Arrow build up a lot of early CS leads. And this time it might be the case as the wave actually slowly shoves in. But Fnatic going to come down, will be able to engage, but Winter uses the flash. Daption doesn't have his from that play on towards Fnatic earlier. However, he is not going to be harmed whatsoever.
Early vision so important there from Adaption and Arrow, just informing them that Fnatic is nearby. So it's just going to be a trade of Scuttle Crabs, because we're already getting some early resets come through, and things are pretty quiet so far because you need some levels and itemization. APA, oh wait, we got to fight top side potentially.
Gonna see some damage. The flash from Winston. And this is off of a reset. The TP is still here, but bot lane will get some scrapping as Winter finds the angle on towards Arrow, but now the return fire comes through. The Kaisa putting out quite a bit of damage. Array has to flash away as the Ignite ticks down and, well, resolves bot lane. Not going to get the best of this trade.
Oh, and neither is a PCL on the top side either. He has to use the TP that he luckily managed to save for himself, and because of the pressure, he lost a bit of wave here, but Bradley's in trouble.
Here we go. Bradley over the wall will be followed, and there's the first blood. We wanted to see a punish on the mid lane and resolve. They will answer the call. First blood over to Fnatic.
Any extra gold, even assist gold in APA's pocket, is going to be so nice here. Just to allow this Gwen to come back online here. We'll force the TP from Bradley. We got a nice wave being pushed in by APA. And once the needlework comes through, Austin, this champion does become quite dangerous. And speaking of danger, Winston, he's looking for something bot side, but he is going to get spotted on this board. So Winter and Array are just going to walk out.
Winter might...
Oh, he wants it still?
Okay. Winston's going to walk all the way around. No flash available on the support, and yet Winter is just going to give him a little headbutt to the face, send him away. Winston just going to try to take away the Krugs now. Daption going to give him a bit of assistance while this takes place, and Fnatic, of course, being in towards the top side, will not really be able to say a whole lot about this, as Winston's just going to find a nice angle to take away a camp.
Yeah, and because they can't contest the wave, it's easily pushed in, and Arrow's going to get a plaint, and you got to imagine Winston might just be able to walk up, secure Dragon number 1 here, as Bradley is still getting the push for the most part, applying pressure to APA. He can move, the bot lane can move, and so far, Wildcard Red are still going to continue the trend of picking up Dragon number 1.
Bradley fighting for mid lane prio. Fnatic is here, but he is a level down. As there goes the dragon as soon as the scrawning orb scouts out what they're doing. And Fnatic getting back out on towards the map is going to try to maybe cross through mid, but that vision is going to be here for Bradley to make sure he will not be contested or at least ganked in this very moment. We go towards the top lane. PCL struggling off the back end of that gank, losing a lot of CS, having to actually go for the executioners for us beatdown just to make sure this Croc is not healing up a ton in the 1v1.
Yeah, this is really important. Got to be able to remove some of the healing somehow here. But yeah, after that one play, Dokla is now the one in control, has that EXP lead, and is pushing PCL with that pressure here. EPA, on the other hand, he's just chilling.
Oh, Dokla even going for the trades under tower. That's a lot of damage. PCL closing in on that ultimate. And I think Dokla was maybe just going to take a reset, so he's fine chunking away some of the health. Knows that he's safe with the Dominus and the flash advantage. But Winston is now going to come up as PCL actually stops the back from coming through. Fnatic here to match, but is not going to have the level 6. Daption over the wall, making another roam play, but this time matched from Winter. So we will, in fact, get everyone in the top lane, as mid lane is actually going for a bit of a fight. A lot of ultimates have been utilized already as Daption sets up the fight. The equalizer is good. It cuts off the escape from Fnatic, but he still manages to flash over the wall. Everyone low, right in towards the fight is APA, but APA will be taken down from Bradley. Bradley looks good for 2, might just be a 3rd as Winter is left all alone, and another crucial fight goes the way of Wildcard Red in the early game.
Oh, and the kills just weren't secured by APA, and once you see Bradley become a part of this fight, there's just no way they can do it. ultimates are used in the mid lane, like you said, Austin. They try to isolate Daption, but the damage isn't quite there. But the damage is there from the equalizer. And even though APA joins, you get the fully stacked snip. It's not enough. Because Bradley is here, and he has the damage to finish this fight off. And even if he didn't, Dokla's walking up to a really crucial misstep from Resolve in the early parts of the game, and it ultimately amounts to a 2,000 gold lead.
Bradley, how good has he been in this series? The game number 1
Disgusting.
had a slow start, but just kept up and had the most CS in the game, got to that late scaling victor. The game number 2 finds so many outplay moments on the Silas, and now here he is on another different champion for the game 3, a 2-1-1 start, getting close to that mythic item just very early in towards this game 3. This is not what you wanted if you're Resolve, but still have lots of opportunities to work back in towards this one. The objectives have been going down. That first Infernal was picked up there for Wildcard Red just a bit ago, so that's adding towards this a lot more of this damage. But in 2 minutes, we'll have our second one, and that will be Cloud Drake.
They're just slowing down. Once again, nothing to really fight for. Dokla, though, he's gotten a really nice lead for himself. A kill in 20 CS. Now he can really start to pressure here. And speaking of pressure, PCL looks like he might be in trouble.
Fnatic's coming, but it is a 4 versus 2. The equalizer is beautiful. Fnatic forced out with the ultimate, but he can't trade anything back over. It's always a numbers advantage for Wildcard Red. Winter and APA, they're late to the fight, but they're still trying to salvage something. Looking like a tilted play, if anything, as Winter's down. APA will get the shutdown onto Bradley, but does he get out with his life? The chase will continue. Looking for a dredge line. Daption does not have the flash, but Dokla just wants to lock him down with a CC, and there it is. Another one on the board for Wildcard Red.
Oh, and it's all falling apart here in Game 3, Austin. We're already looking at a 3,000 gold lead in favor of Wildcard Red, and they are just making the plays, and Resolve just can't figure out how to respond here. And maybe those are tilted plays we're seeing, Austin, but you're going to have to untilt real quick if that's the case here. And you can see in this replay, PCL, with the amount of people walking, you can see on the minimap, he is just dead to rights here. I think Fnatic hoped he could trade one, but realistically, as soon as you see that stun, he is done for PCL.
That equalizer too. Big props to Winston. I know there's a lot of players to highlight throughout this Wildcard Red roster, but Winston with a nice little ultimate there. And then this, I mean, yeah, beatdown. It just feels like it's desperation. It's tilt. It's sure you get the shutdown on towards Bradley, but I mean, the kill in the end just gets traded back over.
And there, of course, with this low HP bar, all these members of Wildcard here, you're absolutely done. He tried. And the shutdown is nice in that 1-for-1 scenario, but overall, so much gold is on the side of Wildcard Red, and to be fair, a lot of it is on Dokla. If we see skirmishes where Dokla is not involved, maybe Resolve can turn things around here. And you can see Dokla has the most gold in the game right now. Wait, he's going for this fight?
All right, Dokla!
Another arc? Oh my god!
Baby! What a nice outplay. Lands the stun, gets the Q off, and PCL lining up for a big 1v1. Not the case. Dokla gonna be able to hold on and outplay him here. 4-0 now on the Croc.
Oh no, and this is just so bad. He's so strong right now. He's 2,000 gold up. That would have been a nice shutdown, but he couldn't get it for himself here. And TP's back to lane. Ultimately, probably won't be able to get him. And you have 2 Drakes in Wildcard's favor. This has happened all 3 games so far. First 2 Dragons go their way. It isn't until Drakes 3 and 4 we see Resolve start to answer back. But Austin, I don't know if they can afford to wait that long in this game.
Oh, APA, does he have the outplay on towards Bradley? A lot of damage comes through the flash from Bradley. The outplay, the auto, Bradley! What a nice outplay onto APA as he comes out with another solo bolo.
Oh no, and now this Lucian is 4-2. You have Dokla who's 4-0. This is just... Oh, this is just brutal. Like, he's going to TP back to mid lane. He has the tier 2 boots finished. You can't go for these 1v1s anymore. APA, you're just not going to be able to do it. And now Fnatic could be in trouble.
All right, this could maybe be good for Resolve.
No Cyclone.
They do find Daption. The equalizer comes down, but it's not the best. That's the support out of the fight for Wildcard Red. Teleport comes through. APA looking for some revenge and wants to get some more kills on the board, but Can they really dive? Adokla, who's already 4-0, has the Dominus. They're going to say yes. Winter starts off the engage, trying to tank that
really
tower
nice.
up. Adokla, does he have a 1v4 on him? He comes away with the first one. Still lots of low health bars, but Adokla has to back away. No support is here, and he's simply just going to have to hang out under his tower.
Adaption is off respawn though, and the wave isn't quite coming. If they continue to overextend for this, they might lose a little bit more here, and that's why Dokla's going for it here. Big heal.
Oh, Dokla's buying time. Daption is also coming in from behind him. Dokla gets his cooldowns out. This could be a chance to outplay them. APA's got to go in, but he doesn't land any of the damage. PCL needs to get the job done, and the shutdown is here. Bradley, too late to the fight, and what was looking like maybe a big turnaround for the Wildcard Red Squad might not be there, and Bradley overextends too far. Arrow goes all in. A lot of low health bars, but Arrow's forced to flash out. As Resolve, they are getting themselves back in this game with a couple of kills.
Oh, that is an insane commitment here, and it's all on PCL. Low HP knows Bradley is looking for something, Austin, and what does he do? He goes in for the Cyclone. They chain the CC. Bradley can't even interact, and he gets deleted. Arrow isn't even allowed to keep up here. And look at the mini-map. You can see that Arrow is moving closer. You can see that Daption is doing the same, and Dokla doing a good job at buying time, but realistically, by pulling them away from his tower, he actually seals his own demise here, and there's no hope of a trade because now they walk to their tower. Everything's fine, Austin, and you can see, you already saw this part. Bradley just gets knocked up, doesn't get to play. Look at this, man. It's just so sad.
Yeah, one by one they come in. I mean, this is a lot of... Essentially what happened in this exact same situation, this exact same spot, except in reverse for Resolve earlier, and now Wildcard Red wanting to get in towards the mix, seeing what they can come away with, and well, they don't come away with a whole lot. That's overall a very net positive play for Resolve, as that goalie does get cut down a little bit here, and well, we get a little update. Zoo Gaming, they come away with a 3-0 for us, as we get a nice little meme there in the bottom left for everything that took place. I mean, whoever drew it, I mean, give him a raise. Look how well done that is. The detail, it's just beautiful.
It's just spectacular. The emotions that invokes in me is just indescribable.
Well, back into this one for us. Resolve.
I almost don't want to.
Yeah, almost.
Just want to sit and think about that.
Yeah, no kidding overall. But this is still a good position to be in. The fact that Resolve are finding windows of opportunity, I think, is really the key. But Bradley is still a menace, having that Gale Force up. Now APA, he's going to meet a very fed Dokla. And Dokla is going all in, but APA still has some damage to return with. As we will see, just trading back and forth. Ultimates forced out from either player, but no kills will come through.
And Ignite is still held onto AP. He is going to back off, though. We're going to see the first turret go over to Bradley. And that's really nice, as he is been highlighted as a problem, I'm sure, by Resolve, by us here on the caster, as the casters, and of course on the desk too. He's just playing so well. Now he gets this extra injection of gold. He already has the Gale Force ready to go, Austin. He's getting towards that Essence Reaver. This man is becoming a problem.
Sure is. And, well, interesting note. Every single game thus far, Wildcard Red, they have secured the first 2 Drakes, but they've lost the third the majority of the time. I think last time around they managed to get it, but it was at a contest, and definitely an opportunity for Resolve to come away with it. As we're going to see the pink ward come down, just trying to set up for a death rush. Winston is caught out of position, but Wildcard Red, they're here for it. That's a big ultimate from Fnatic, as he does drop a lot of it, but the damage is just so much. Resolve now on the run. PCL dives into the back line, forces out the flash from Bradley, but PCL might end up dropping down for us. Overall, we get a 1-for-1 Daption for PCL, as Resolve still healthy enough to turn towards the Drake.
Yeah, problem is, though, the Rift Herald is coming in the mid lane, but they might have to just sack it and allow the Dragon to come through. Dokla has the Dominus. He's going in.
Winston is going to be low. He can't find the damage to trade anything back over, but keep your eye on towards Dokla. What can he find? Can he clean up this fight? APA going over the wall after coming away with a lot of damage, but Dokla goes all in. Oh, the stasis is so good, but APA goes down in the end, and now it's a battle of the 80 carries. Bradley up against Array, but in from behind. It's an unfair fight. There is the lock. Daption says hello, and he sets up Bradley for another one.
Oh, he had to go for that so deep in enemy territory. There's no way Array can win. rather escape rather than winning the 1v1. But because of how much both sides lost there in terms of numbers, nobody will go for the dragon. There's still the opportunity for Resolve to claim it as people are starting to respawn on their end, but people on Wildcard are already back on the map. They might get the third dragon for the first time this series here, Austin, as they continue to hold the lead.
Let me take another look at this and everything that took place. It was really PCL finding that angle in towards the back line that drew a bit of tension away, but Winston having a big equalizer here set up a lot of the damage.
I think they were hoping that they could just blow Winston up before you can really do that. So unfortunately, that was not the case, and it's the main reason for a lot of those health bars being so low. But PCL making sure Bradley can't do the damage he wants, allowing him to get Daption, was a really nice play. And then it just continues to be a really scrappy fight here, playing from Fog really well. They do manage to get another pick onto Dokla soon, but this is a really scrappy fight, Austin, and ultimately they could not secure the dragon on the side of the zone.
That's right. Ray, nice flash over the wall, keeping himself up and alive, and then Dokla makes the big play. APA also bought so much time off the back end of that stopwatch, just at the perfect moment, but Bradley was just waiting, finds that opportunity, and then it was just coming away with it, and yeah, Daption gets in from behind to really secure and lock them down.
Yeah, flashes just for good measure, just to be safe, and it's easy for him to get taken down here. But now, so we go back to live. Dragon Soul point here for Wildcard has been secured, and it could be the Ocean Soul for them if they get that next Dragon, Austin. This is a dangerous scenario for Resolve, to say the least. They need to deny this next Drake so that exactly does not happen. Resolve are taking some towers out on the map here, doing some of the split pushing that we talked about, but you can see Wildcard just grouping, just making sure Fnatic understands, hey, you can't be here. This is not your jungle anymore.
And that third dragon did end up going over, as you mentioned, so everything just comes down to this soul point, this fight for that next one. But meanwhile, we've seen Wildcard Red start up this Baron a few times here, so that means that Resolve are going to have to continue to keep some pressure. And I mean, you just take a look at the map and just how little vision there is. You have some deep vision, at least here, for this side of Resolve, but Beatdown, it's just looking ever so difficult for as far as, you know, what you're really going to be able to do in the back line, for as far as looking for maybe some TP plays from AP or PCL. You have to get there first, look for this early setup. That is certainly going to be one of the difficulties, but for the time being, farm's just going to be collected. Dokla is just going to pop in towards the jungle, figure out where all the members are on towards the map, because we still don't have that dragon for a while, and Winter's just hovering in and around the top side just to make sure that vision is going to stay around this Baron pit.
You have to tread so carefully. Wildcard playing so much in Fog does mean that you have to Resolve can't just walk in and try to clear vision. They don't want to get wiped, basically, and lose the Baron buff. Thing is, though, Wildcard have reset, spent some of this excess gold they've gotten for themselves, and well, Bradley has finished the Essence Reaver. This Lucian is incredibly strong right now, and now they're just looking for fights, Austin. They are trying to get some vision. Daption's trying to get some hooks. Problem is, they might have caught them out.
Fighting in towards a choke can be pretty dangerous with the likes of Winston. Oh, that's actually the flash forced out, though, as Arrow does need to get away. Was just backing in a bit of a greedy position. Bradley in towards the bot side. We'll be here to back up a fight that might end up taking place here. However, it is going to be Resolve just grouping up, stacking, maybe setting up for a dive underneath this tier 1 tower in the mid lane. APA as well as Winter. They're going to come in from behind, but it's going to be a lockup under the tower. PCL needs to come through here with a Cyclone, but what members can he find? That's a lot of damage that comes through. Winter has to flash away, gets out with his life, but Fnatic finds Daption. That will be a trade back on towards APA, as a couple players will drop, but it will be an advantage of Resolve.
And somehow Resolve get the 2-for-1 well under turret, Austin. They get the dive, it gets done, and they cannot stop these backs on the side of Wildcard. Somehow Resolve get away with murder in that engage and pick up some much needed gold in their favor here. It's worth noting too, Array has hit the 2-item spike, which means those Mystic shots, well, they're going to pack quite a punch, Austin. And that is important for Resolve going into some of these objective fights, looking for some poke here. No, Arrow is in trouble.
No flash, Winter. Oh, wow. No. That's the shutdown picked up for Fnatic.
That's a big shutdown.
Here comes PCL as well. 180 carry drops in now, maybe a second, but Bradley with a flash over the wall will get him to safety. However, those are key summoners that will not be available for this dragon that's coming up in 36 seconds.
Yeah, and then you're going to see the replay of this dive, actually, and how it took place. And here it is. Even though the depth charge comes through, Winter still gets the big pulverize, and all this damage is coming through, while it looks like APA is the one who is starting to continuing to take this turret damage here. But it's insane how they've been able to just keep themselves alive, only go 1 for 2, and actually come out on top.
Ooh, and we see that tower go down there in the bottom left as well. So moving back on towards the map, maybe even some kills coming on the back end of this, as this was the second pick that took place, and that was the big one. But Dokla caught in a bit of a pickle as he's just forced under the tower. Little emotes will be thrown on out as APA pushes them back all the way, but the dominance is here for Dokla if they want to still contest this Drake, and with the way they're positioning, that looks very likely. But Fnatic, he starts it off. Winston already deleted. Daption over the wall he goes, but Bradley left here in the river will be easy cleanup for the side of Resolve. A 2 for 0, working themselves back in the game, and now the Dragon looks to be theirs.
Inch by inch, Resolve are bringing themselves back here, looking for these crucial fights. And Wildcard, you talked about it, some crucial ultimates not available here. Realistically, only the dominance was up for Dokla. This dragon maybe isn't something you want to be fighting for, but they tried, and Resolve punished them for it. So that means, oh, and with that True Shot Barrage, they get sights on the Baron, which is so good. They can reset without any concern here, as Resolve do pick up their first dragon.
We got ourselves a series beatdown. Resolve, they wanted to respond. It looked a little grim early on in towards the game, but as we transitioned in towards the mid game, this is where Resolve are starting to come alive. We got an 8-3 Fnatic pulling out the Xin Zhao that we have not seen a whole lot of, but really making great use of it with the leads that have been built up and the shutdowns that have been collected. Looking at APA as well, getting himself closer towards that second item. Ezreal coming online. There are a lot of positives right now for Resolve, but this double AD carry composition cannot be underestimated by any means. Daption sets up for a really good play on top of that equalizer, and they could still set up for a lot of these fights. It's just a better position for Resolve to be in, and this has been a long time coming for us beatdown, as they've really been down and out so far.
Oh, it sure has. And now, if we think about the CC, the team fight abilities that Resolve can have here, when you think about things like the pulverize from this Alistar, when you think about the knockups that you can get from Xin Zhao, of course the Cyclone, there's still a lot of team fight tools. If we've seen it a couple times too, if members of Wildcard are not prepared for it, they get knocked up 3 times before they can even realize it, and they're sent to the fountain. So these are the fights Resolve needs to be looking for. They've been doing a good job of controlling a lot of the vision throughout the mid stages of this game, and if they continue to do so and find some of these bush plays, these flanks, just punishing members of Wildcard Red, they can find their way back into this game. Because if that happens now, Austin, that means a Baron, that means they catch up in gold, and they could even surpass Wildcard in gold.
Very possible. At the moment, APH is going to clear out some vision. Everyone's just dancing around the Baron, but no one's really started it up as we close it on 26 minutes. Winter will get himself just about back to full with the honey fruit, and now it's Wildcard's turn to move in as they get themselves the mid lane priority. Everyone will just try to clear out and fight over this vision control. That is really what a lot of this is going to come down to, as Winter just needs to hang in, get a ward down. But moving back towards the mid lane, you can assume that Wildcard is likely not on top of this Baron, but everything getting a lot more tense. And these are the moments where we really call for, you know, how is Resolve going to be able to react in some of these very tight game deciding situations, as API, I think, maybe stole that one away, but no, it looked really, really close. But coming back to my point beatdown, this is where we start to see, you know, how well this team is able to perform with their backs up against the wall, knowing that one fight very well could end the game. You have to play perfect. You have to set up just about, you know, these telegraphed engages so everyone is on the same page at any given moment, just because of what is on the line.
And Resolve, because of how things have been going these last few minutes, they still have a good window to be able to make a play for this Baron. We're still 2 minutes away from the next dragon that they absolutely cannot let go here, and because of the vision they have around inside this Baron pit, Resolve could potentially make a play to try and take the Baron and then turn and fight. Maybe they just take it. That all depends on how they want to do this. They are clearing out vision once again for Winter here, and they could just, again, set up the death brushes that we've been seeing so far this game. Have been doing so well for them.
Ooh, gonna stop the back. Make sure Arrow
That's good.
doesn't get out and towards the map as soon as you would like. And yeah, that screams that he needs a recall. And this does maybe give you a window to actually find a pick and set up for any given moment. And PCL does have that teleport, so he can enter in towards the fight if Winter does find an angle. But instead, it's just going to be about getting this mid lane priority, which means that Resolve will be the first team to move into the jungle.
We're down to 1 minute towards the dragon. Baron, no longer a concern if you're Resolve. You're just going to immediately put all of your attention on the bot side here. Clear out vision, set it up, make sure that entire part of the map is dark for Wildcard Red, and this is crucial. The thing is, though, because they still have some vision set up on the top side, if a potential trade comes through, Resolve will be completely aware of it here. So it all depends on how Wildcard are going to want to play this. We see the observers toggle the vision, and that's Wildcard's view right now. They can't see much of the Baron pit, they can't see much of the Dragon pit.
All right, Winter pops the Shirelias, but can't follow up on the slow Fnatic landed onto Dokla. That's going to be a key cooldown. Not here for this fight, at least not for a bit, depending on how long it goes. 10 seconds now, away from the Drake, and everyone from Wildcard Red just moves over towards this Baron. This is going to put Resolve in a very interesting spot. Are they going to move in for this?
They might have to try and poke them off. Double AD carry and Rumble. There's so much damage here, Austin, and Big Cyclone could be the game changer.
4K on this Baron. The teleports come through, and that's going to be the engage. Winter finds the knockup onto 2. That's the first one down. APA's out of the fight, but PCL able to find a massive knockup onto multiple members. Array alive, but not for long. There is the double, the shutdown for Winston, and it's all Wildcard Red. They force the hand of Resolve, and they will come out with the ace.
Oh, the Baron was being taken too quickly. Resolve didn't want to wait and try to secure it and just had to try and make the play for the Baron. But a nice flank from Bradley and a great team fight from Wildcard means they are going to get both, Austin. And you can see it play out here. Watch Bradley as this fight turns out. He puts a lot of damage here, but you're going to see him actually walk away towards that blue buff, go for the bit of the split here. And even though he does get knocked up, because of that stopwatch, he's able to be that threat on multiple fronts here. You got Daption and Arrow just bullying Array, and you have Bradley and Dokla also damaging the rest of Resolve here. And now, the Ocean Soul's been given up, Austin, and so has the Baron.
Not a scenario anyone would want to be in. But somehow, some way, Resolve, they got to fight out of it. They've been able to find a couple of miracle engages, a couple of big team fights that have led to an advantage, but can they battle back from this? An Ocean Soul, a Baron, a massive gold lead that's closing in on 7,000, everything playing against them. And this is where we really test and see just how they're able to find angles to see if they can work themselves back from such a big disadvantage here. When you look at that total golds, everyone online, 4 items strong right now for Bradley. Right behind him, 3.5 for Arrow, who's decided to go for this Runons. It's going to be just putting out so much damage if he can free hit. This is a lot of problems that Resolve are somehow going to have to fix.
And this is not to mention the Baron buff is on the table here for Wildcard Red. They are able to pressure so many lanes. You have APA who's going to be splitting bottom, trying to at least be able to trade something here. But look at Resolve. They're resigned to just staying in their base. They can't actually fight for some of these outer towers. They just have to relax as APA is now on the respawn here. And he is coming here to potentially for something, but I think you just want to get as much vision as you can outward of your base so you know what Wildcard are doing and potentially punish a misstep. But Winter is might have misstepped himself.
Wow, Winter might go down. He's so low. Bradley finishes him off. That is the support out of the pitcher. Maybe the very last fight. Arrow goes all in, and it's all to APA, PCL, and Fnatic. A shutdown in return for APA. Fnatic trying to stay alive, but will be taken down. PCL out of the pitcher. A quadra kill for Bradley as everything falls on the shoulders of APA.
Oh, the closest one to spawn is Winter in 15 seconds. Gwen is a strong champion, but I don't know if APA can fight his way out of this one. Austin with the Baron in tow. Not even level 16 at the moment here. This is going to be close.
APA has to pull it off. Has Winter to back him up. Winter goes in, but he's instantly deleted. And now again, it's up to APA. 15 seconds on towards Fnatic, 10 on top of Array, but the Nexus is exposed, and Wildcard Red will extinguish the flame that was once Resolved. They will send them packing, and they will punch their